with innovative designs and exceptional craftsmanship. And right now, we're offering an amazing deal. Enjoy 12 months with no interest and no payments, or get 40% off qualifying installs. My team is dedicated to helping you every step of the way. Visit PellaPNW.com to schedule your free appointment today. That's PellaPNW.com.
From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
They told us nothing but lies.
These timeshare thieves out there are terrible.
They bullied us.
It was a nightmare. We felt stuck.
Our timeshare is all a scam.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
I was completely taken advantage of.
Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder and CEO of Wesley Financial Group, and I know the tough spot you're in. Are you asking yourself, why did I buy that timeshare? I'll tell you why, because that presentation wasn't a normal sales pitch. It was a show to convince you that timeshare is a great investment. They told you it was available today and today only. They said you're foolish if you don't buy, and unfortunately, you believed them. We get over 3,000 complaints a week from folks just like you that were misled into buying a timeshare. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-277-3355. 800-277-3355. 800-277-3355.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News. This is CBS News on the Hour. Sponsored by Steel.
I'm Linda Kenyon. A suspect is in custody after a shooting at Florida State University. Several people are injured. Blake Leonard is a student at that school.
I didn't physically see a shooter or anybody get shot. I just heard the shots pretty close to me and saw people running, so I was trying to get out of there too.
CBS's Scott McFarland says this is no isolated incident.
These incidents continue to recur in Florida, and we know from our CBS News reporting just down the street in Tallahassee this week, the state legislature was considering legislation to pull back some gun control measures in Florida.
Michael Price's daughter is a student at FSU.
We can't be a country that love our children and the citizens and continue to have the kind of gun policies we do. And I know everyone's going to say, no, don't rush to gun policy. Maybe some mental issues here or something, but we got to do something about that.
Price's daughter was not injured. The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to hear arguments next month on President Trump's restriction on birthright citizenship. The president had issued an executive order to end birthright citizenship for children of those who are in the U.S. illegally, but that order remains on hold. States, immigrants, and rights groups have sued over the issue. President Trump has been displeased with Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell, who said the president's trade tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation.
I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him.
The president also saying Powell has not been aggressive enough to cut interest rates, adding his termination cannot come fast enough, while James Sample, a professor of constitutional law at Hofstra Law School, says Trump's comments are unprecedented.
No president in American history has ever tried to remove a member of the Federal Reserve's board, let alone the chairman.
Powell's term as head of the independent agency does not expire until May of 2026. The lights are slowly coming back on as crews work to restore power after a blackout in Puerto Rico yesterday that left 1.4 million people in the dark and 328,000 with no running water. CBS's Manuel Bajorquez is in San Juan.
Luma, the utility here, says that within 48 hours, they hope to have 90% of customers with their power restored. We're heading into the busy Easter weekend, which is a big deal here in this largely Catholic island.
This is the second island-wide blackout in less than 4 months. The cause not yet known, but Puerto Rico has had chronic outages due to hurricane damage. This is CBS News.
Steel walk-behind, zero-turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
A Tacoma shooting turns into a homicide investigation days later. The story coming up, but first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk in Bellevue, a crash is blocking a lane on I-405 northbound near Southeast 8th Street. You're backed up from about I-90 through Woodridge. Looks like the crash may have been cleared from northbound I-5 near Boeing Field. Travel time Federal Way to Seattle is back down to a more normal 24 minutes. Traffic brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. For all your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop freaking. Call Beacon.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Heather Bosch. A former Sumner High School basketball coach is going to spend up to 40 years in prison. That was the sentence handed down in Pierce County today to Jacob Jackson, who was found guilty of abusing 8 players, many of his victims coming forward.
I think we all inspired each other. I think we all made sure that we had each other and had support.
Jackson coached for Sumner High School between 2016 and 2022. A shooting in Tacoma Saturday is now a homicide investigation. Police say an adult and a teenager were shot along Portland Avenue. The victims managed to get to a hospital. The adult was in stable condition, but the teen has now died from his injuries. No word on arrests. Linwood police are trying to find the man who grabbed a 10-year-old boy by the wrist as the child rode his bicycle near the Linwood Golf Course on Monday. Commander Joe Dickinson.
So we don't know if this was, someone upset about somebody riding bikes on the trail or what. What's concerning is this gentleman reaching out and grabbing a kid.
The child and 2 other boys he was with were able to get away from the man. We've put the suspect's description up at mynorthwest.com. SeaTac Airport and TSA officials say they realize they've moved the deadline for you to get your real ID driver's license a few times.
But this time, it is happening, and airport officials are concerned about travelers that won't be ready. Here's TSA's Lori Dankers.
500,000 people are expected to come to the security checkpoint on May 7th and moving forward who are not ready for real ID enforcement.
Dankers recommends taking a look at the TSA website for a list of alternative identification documents. At SeaTac International, James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
The NBA commissioner is giving his most clear timeline yet on when the league would consider expansion, possibly bringing a team back to Seattle. Adam Silver says a formal process will start this summer, and Seattle is on the short list.
It was a market that was fantastic for the league that we left at the time for understandable reasons, but there's no doubt that there continues to be enormous passion in that market for the NBA.
Silver was speaking to the Pat McAfee show on ESPN. This summer marks 17 years since the Sonics left Seattle for Oklahoma City. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine today with highs in the mid-60s. It's 59 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Thursday.
I kind of like it. I like this music.
You like this music?
I do. It feels like I'm going to take off.
Nice. I feel like we're both going to take. This is great. Welcome to the Jake and Spike Show. Jake Skorheim's taking a day with his family today. I'm so jealous. He likes his family. What that must feel like.
Yeah, but look at the good spot you're in with me. No, just
Angela Poe. No, I'm very excited about this. Angela Poe Russell will sit in today for the vacationing Jake Skorheim. Angela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here with you and Laura.
We've had the opportunity to work together prior as we filled in on various broadcast shows here at KIRO. But now you're on the show.
Yes.
You're on the show.
Yes, I'm excited.
You get to dive into your perspectives on the stories of the day and your personal life, and I'll go too far. That's what I do.
All right, Barbara.
You'll keep your. I used to do a horrible Barbara Walters impression, by the way. Horrible.
Okay, now we got to hear it.
No, you don't. It's just a wisp. It was terrible. It was horrible. It was so juvenile. Rock radio. I do miss it. Anyway, welcome to your broadcast day. Heather Bosch is going to join us, excuse me, in just a moment, because, we're all living through the uncertainty, to put it kindly, of President Trump's proposed I don't want to just call it a trade war. That's very pejorative to call it a trade war. His proposed tariffs, his inconsistency with the policies that he's issuing through executive order, through federal financial emergency decree, which gives the president broad powers when declaring an emergency, whether it's at the border or whether it's over immigration, whether it's over financial situations, all the things that President Trump has, the tools of the executive, President Trump has taken advantage of or used, again, not to be pejorative, to mold, remold, refashion our lives in the MAGA ideology. But before we get into all that, Heather, and thank you for hanging out. I appreciate that. Angela Poe Russell.
Uh-oh. He's rubbing his hands together.
I'm trying. I'll hold off. Because I want to ask you them about personal financial issues and things like that.
Okay.
Given the tariff story, but let's go to Heather Bosch. Let's start here, Heather.
I think it's important because for so long we've heard about what might happen.
Right.
This could happen.
The speculation.
If we do this, the speculation.
Yeah, are investors going to hold off? Are people going to come and rebuild production facilities here in the United States when in 6 months this could all be a long gone memory?
Right.
Of international financial and economic policy of this administration. Heather Bosch, you've done some reporting on what we're actually seeing on the ground.
Well, we are hearing from businesses. They're giving details on what it's like for them under the tariffs. Jeff Demir is COO of Seattle-based Swaddle Designs.
Our brand is known for patented safe sleep products.
He says everything they sell is made in China, where they have long-standing relationships with factories. The products they manufacture are now subject to those changing tariffs, he explains.
Last month, we brought in a container with a value of about $200,000. And we had to pay an extra $20,000 to bring that in.
And then?
This month, we're bringing in another container. That container will cost us an extra $40,000 because the China tariffs went from 10% to 20%.
Now?
We have a container that's right now sitting in China. That container would cost us $300,000 of extra tariffs. Given the 145%.
He says they're keeping that shipment in China, keeping their fingers crossed that the tariffs will come down. As for manufacturing products here, well, he says it's not practical or cost effective.
There's just no way that we could ever bring production back.
Okay, so what about businesses that make their products in the U.S. with homegrown ingredients? Molly Neitzel is CEO of Molly Moon's Homemade Ice Cream, a small Seattle-based chain. She says,
I buy most of my ingredients locally, and I haven't thought that I would be all that impacted. What I didn't think about until my CFO came to me is spoons.
Molly Moons buys compostable spoons from a manufacturer in China, and under the current tariffs,
the current structure will cost us about $240,000 this year. That's like almost half of my total anticipated profit for 2025.
It's not just U.S. tariffs on imports causing challenges. Chris Stone is deputy director of the Washington State Wine Commission. It represents over 1,000 family-owned wineries and 400-plus farmers. He says the tariffs have drawn retaliation.
The best example would be Canada, our number one export market, which literally disappeared overnight.
In response to the U.S. tariffs, Canada has banned U.S. alcohol sales there, a loss of $10 to $12 million in business. Washington U.S. Senator Maria Cantwell likes to point out she helped promote American wines in Canada.
I want you to know that I helped get British Columbia to put more Washington wine on their shelves.
She and Republican Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley have introduced the Trade Review Act, which they say would return most of the control over tariffs back to Congress. Now, President Trump insists his tariffs will boost manufacturing in the U.S., give the U.S. leverage to reduce tariffs that other countries place on American products, and force countries to stop fentanyl from entering the U.S. But some of these businesses, Angela and Spike, are saying, well, at what cost?
I know when you do these interviews, there are only so many things you could put on the air. Yeah. But when you talk to these people and you hear, okay, this container was $20,000, now it's $40,000. How much reserve do they have? Like, do they think this will lead to job cuts? Do they, like, what do we see that it's costing more, but how much is this going to hurt? Did you get that sense?
The sense is it's unclear what's going to happen, and that's part of it. They can say, look, we can absorb some of this, like the gentleman who works with the baby clothes making company who can say, look, we took the hit a couple of times, the first shipment, the second shipment, and now we're just holding firm, just waiting. That cargo ship's still out there to see what's going to happen. You know, it's putting a lot of folks in some really difficult positions. Do they absorb more of the hit? Do they pass along to customers? At what point do they say,
we're going to have to shut down. And part of the concern, as you have seen, is President Trump said it's this massive tariff, and then he walked that back and said, well, it's only going to be 10% tariffs on all these countries for the next 90 days.
Right.
What happens in 90 days?
And then we're going to exempt these particular things, at least when it came to China.
Possibly.
There were some exemptions.
Some electronics might have been exempted.
They're talking about cars. They're talking about electronics. They're talking about chip manufacturing now is going to be exempted.
It just seems to be the shifting nature of this that's problematic, as well as just the sheer amount of what these tariffs will cost.
We see the stock market go just like a roller coaster because of the uncertainty. And the business community is even more reliant on certainty on what the future holds for people. Companies that can absorb
Really
a couple of months we'll hold off on purchasing. Well, you can't hold off on purchasing supplies overseas forever without losing business, without losing employees, without making cuts.
I don't forget what some President Trump's spokesperson said. What's her name? Caroline Leavitt.
Caroline
She
Leavitt.
said, well, we're not worried about what's happening on Wall Street. We're worried about what's happening on Main Street.
They are
not. And what I'm hearing is that this, like Main Street,
is panicking a little bit or concerned.
They're feeling it. And this is what drives me crazy is it's the lack of the people in charge seeing the interconnectedness of things. Or maybe they see it and don't want to actually say it because they have their own agenda. But it's like I think we all can agree, yes, we've become very reliant on other places. And so we want to do more here. Okay, I think a lot of people can get on board with that. But in terms of how you do this, it needs to be strategic, and you can't just hit people like this and not expect there to be a consequence in terms of jobs, business losses, that kind of thing.
Well, and the short-term pain, the discomfort, however they're labeling it from a promotion, from a PR perspective.
How
this
long
week.
does it take to build a factory to create new spoons?
Who's going to return production to America at a higher cost of labor, of everything that it takes to produce, when this situation of these international tariffs could go away in 6 months? People are just going to hold off. They're not going to build. And this return of production, Jake and I have had this conversation numerous times. We got to become a production economy again. We are never going to become the 50-year-ago production economy. We're just not. People don't want to work in a factory all day.
Even
people
if
want
they
to stand on their feet.
Can we afford to pay them wages? Because if we say the uncomfortable truth, we've been able to afford what we have because we're relying on cheap labor somewhere else.
Absolutely true.
So if you get here and you pay them according to the minimum wage of federal law, state law, local city law, then the prices are going to go up. So can you afford it?
And
that's what I mean about. That's what I mean about not seeing the interconnectedness, the systems of everything, and how they all work together. Which means you have to be strategic. We need strategic leadership. And
I understand the goals of this administration to reclaim a fair trade situation in the planet. And first off, I don't buy that we were getting duped and we were being taken advantage of and we're suckers to every country that we deal with because there's a trade imbalance. That's not how economy works. We're supposed to have trade imbalances with certain nations. We're supposed to, because we make things that cost more and it costs more to make here. As Angela said, we rely on inexpensively, cheaply made because of labor cost, material cost, whatever it is. And be like, well, I don't want to support somebody that pays an industry overseas in Bangladesh making pharmaceuticals or garments, or China making these things. You want to take away those jobs from the Chinese worker. And while to you it might seem very insulting, and it should, to make $50 a week in China, that is the greatest job that culture has ever had. And that income there is a realistic, sustainable income for that section of the world. You're talking about, bringing all this production back to America, becoming an isolationist nation. That diminishes quality of life abroad. It diminishes quality of life here.
Really good point, because I did have a chance to interview Gary Locke, former Washington State governor and former U.S. ambassador to China. And when we were talking, he said, yeah, this is going to be tough for Americans. This is also tough on people in China.
Absolutely.
And tough on both sides of these two great nations.
And I'm not talking about, inhumane work conditions. And there are, of course, and there are policies in place, there always have been, about whether or not we deal with companies who have unfair, unsafe labor practices. And we shouldn't deal with those kind of companies. But paying a living wage in a third world country, and I don't mean that pejoratively, that is the greatest thing that's happened to that economy. It lifts that economy up, so that economy doesn't have just mass poverty.
Something I think about when you were speaking, it actually gave me a little anxiety, Heather, is some of this reminds me of COVID. And just bear with me for a minute. COVID happens. Businesses were being impacted. People had this uncertainty. Should I shut down? Should I try to keep going? What should I do? And then, eventually it came back. They're trying to rebuild, hobble along. And for a lot of people, they're living a normal life now. Things are back to normal. I'm back in school. And now all of a sudden, you're seeing places shut down that say we never recovered from COVID. We never recovered from it. I remember going on a delayed honeymoon and seeing this beautiful resort. I mean, it was gorgeous. And it was growing spider webs. It had shut down, never recovered. The people there were just talking about how, they hadn't been able to find the same jobs. And this was a couple years later. And so my point is, it's like when you throw that pebble in the water and it has the ripple effects. Yeah. I'm just concerned about the ripple effects from this short-term pain and the ability of people to be able to take another hit on the heels of COVID.
I think what you're pointing out is it's not always a short-term pain, or we think it's going to be a short-term pain, but then it comes back and it comes back and it comes back. I mean, think of all these businesses up along the border who are seeing a 75% drop in visitors from Canada.
Yeah, our number one tourist feed is from Canadians.
Not saying whether the tariffs ultimately will be good or bad, but I think you've hit the nail on the head. This could be very long-term.
Well, thank you.
Anytime, guys.
Heather Bosch, ladies and gentlemen. All right, moving on to something that's local, but also a trend that started, I saw this first down in California.
I feel guilty for liking it.
For liking, okay.
I feel guilty.
Well, let's tell people what we're talking about. No,
shame.
If you are at a crosswalk in downtown Seattle, we all know that nowadays crosswalks are there's an audio component to crosswalks, and that benefits.
Wait.
Yeah, thank you. I thought you told me to wait. I fell for it. You did really well.
Laura,
have you voiced those before?
Wait, that was awesome.
Thanks.
And that is...
I do a good robot.
Initially, that was for the vision-impaired communities, right? That lets people know. And also, that also nowadays includes people who are staring at their phone and aren't looking up at a crosswalk signal, and they have to be told, hey, dummy, wait. Hey, look up, wait. Well, it's been hacked in Seattle, and what you'll hear, do you have a little audio of this? What you'll hear now if you press a crosswalk button at various intersections in Seattle.
Hi, I'm Jeff Bezos. This crosswalk is sponsored by Amazon Prime with an important message. Please don't tax the rich. Otherwise, all the other billionaires will move to Florida, too. Wouldn't it be terrible if all the rich people left Seattle or got Luigi'd and then normal people could afford to live here again? Jeffrey Bezos.
So the system was hacked to provide these AI generated.
This was a hack. This was a hack. Sponsored.
Thank you. Right? It's a. Is this? I don't want to say the T word's getting thrown around so much these days.
It's a hack.
It's a hack,
and it was a form of protest. It sounds like.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a protest.
Because let's talk about a couple of things here. So he brings up not taxing the rich, and we know right now that the state of Washington, they've been considering all these taxes. They were considering the wealth tax,
sure.
And then you had all these big companies come out and say, we're going to help support this pact to go against this, was we can't have it.
Right.
So it feels like this person was weighing in on state politics and that piece of it. Not taxing them.
I agree completely. This is also, as I mentioned, taking place in California,
yes,
where there are Elon Musk AI voiced crosswalks. Do you have one of those for us?
They say money can't buy happiness, and yeah, okay. I guess that's true. God knows I've tried. But it can buy a Cybertruck, and that's pretty sick, right? Right? I'm so loud.
There's also a Mark Zuckerberg version down there in California as well. You got it. Okay.
Let's do it.
Hey, it's Zuck here. I just wanted to tell you how very proud I am of everything we've been building together. From undermining democracy to cooking our grandparents' brains with AI slop to making the world less safe for trans people. Nobody does it better than us, and I think that's pretty neat. Zuck out. Hi, this is Mark Zuckerberg, but real ones call me the Zuck. It's normal to feel uncomfortable or even violated as we forcefully insert AI into every facet of your conscious experience. And I just want to assure you, you don't need to worry, because there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. Anyway, see ya.
I wanted to hate it. I wanted to hate the idea of people doing this. But this is one of the coolest forms of public protest. It's so much more. It hits home better than a sign. It's better than a group of people standing on the sidewalk.
Yes.
Which I love. I love people who stand and who care enough about any topic to stand on a sidewalk and give up their free time and hold signs and rally public support for their point of view.
Yeah, can we PS this conversation? Because I want to talk about AI, and I know the music's playing, like I'm at the Tonys.
Yeah, you're being played off.
I know. So can we,
we'll come
talk
back.
about AI?
You got to talk about AI?
I want to talk about AI.
We'll come back to it. It's Angela Poe Russell filling in for Jake Skorheim today. I'm Spike O'Neill. Welcome to the Jake and Spike Show. We're right back after these with Angela's thoughts on AI.
KIRO Newsradio doesn't just report the news. We help you make sense of it.
People in this area, they have us. We can keep this guy honest. That's our job.
New media is leaving the old guard behind. Yes.
We provide the analysis and context you need to stay ahead in these fast-paced times.
That man is still on the loose, and Everett police are searching for him.
Seattle Public Schools look to boost graduation rates by 10% over the next 5 years.
Stay tuned with KIRO Newsradio, where you'll find out why.
Hi, guys. Spike O'Neill here for Integrity Roofing and Construction. I've been telling you Integrity for a few months now. The guys came to my home, gave me an estimate on my roof. Wasn't ready for a new roof. And they upgraded my insulation, and I was so impressed with the job they did that I went and pulled the trigger. Integrity Roofing and Construction put a beautiful new roof on my home. And the way they treated our property, the professionalism of the crews that came to our home, I can't speak any higher of them. If it's time for you to take a look at your roof and the investment in your family's home, give Integrity a call at 206-202-ROOF. And set up an appointment. That's 206-202-ROOF. Or check them out online and all the wonderful reviews at integrityrc.com.
This hour is brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of their National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through April 20th. Stop by any of their participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference at drhorton.com. That's drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
She and Ursula, weekdays from 9 to noon on KIRO Newsradio.
Hey, I want to tell you a sellwithwes.com success story. Wes Jones knows how important your home sale can be for your future plans. So when he got a call from Susan in Federal Way, he was eager to step up and help her sell her home of 25 years.
Her house was her biggest asset, and this home sale was super meaningful for her. So she's like, I know that I'm leaving money on the table in the condition that it's in. Like, what can we do?
I told him up front that I did not have the time or finances to do what needed to be done. And he immediately jumped in with, well, I do.
He told her about their Listing Boost concierge service.
And we identified probably 4 or 5 major things.
It just was all so fast. They did everything.
I'm a son of a builder, and I've done a lot of flips over the years. So this is work that we actually like to do. We are seeking this out.
And I would just tell anybody, here's his phone number, give him a call. He'll take care of it.
So if you're in the market to sell your home, do what Susan did. Check out Wes Jones and his team at sellwithwes.com. Sell with Wes, a better way to sell your home.
Did you know that nearly half the homes in Western Washington are not properly insulated or not insulated at all? That may be the reason why your home is way too hot in the summer and way too cold in the winter. It may also be the reason that your energy bills are sky high. Right now, Insulation Northwest is offering a free inspection of your home's insulation. This is a $199 value and it's absolutely free, no obligation. Just call today and Insulation Northwest will arrange a time that works with your schedule. We'll perform a thorough exam of your home's insulation and give you the advice you need to start saving thousands. Everyone who calls today will also receive a free infrared screening of your home using the latest technology. This will help reveal any hidden flaws in your home's protective energy blanket. What do you have to lose? It only takes about an hour and it's absolutely free. Call Insulation Northwest today, the real insulation company.
InsulationNorthwest.com. Are you finding it hard to stay cool in your home during hot weather? The issue is likely your window's poor quality and lack of heat deflecting technology. Adrian here, owner of Lake Washington Windows and Doors. Our windows are 25% more energy efficient than Energy Star standards and come with high-performance Sun Matrix glass, which can help keep the summer heat out. Combined with our leak armor installation, your comfort will be secured for a lifetime. Choose Lake Washington Windows and Doors, a name you can trust. Visit lakewashingtonwindows.com.
Need a new roof but not in the budget? A new roof doesn't have to break the bank. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Right now, State Roofing and Exteriors is offering 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's 2 years with no payments while getting the protection your home deserves. But this offer won't last forever. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to get on our summer schedule now. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
At Kia of Everett, we make the process of buying your new Kia as exciting as driving it home. The best drive you'll ever take is to Kia of Everett. Simple, easy, fun.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Heather Bosch. At least 6 people are injured, one of them critically, during a shooting at Florida State University. Student Blake Leonard says when the shots rang out,
I was just running in the direction that everybody else was running, trying to get out of there. And then once I felt like I was at a safe enough distance, I went to my car to get off campus because I didn't know where that shooter was going to be going or anything like that.
Police say the shooter is in custody. The Los Angeles DA is trying to delay today's resentencing hearing for the Menendez brothers. Lyle and Eric were convicted of murdering their parents in 1989, but now they say it happened after years of abuse. CBS's Carter Evans.
The parole board is conducting a review of the brothers to determine, what it would be like if they let them back out. Are they going to be a danger to society? What's the situation? So the district attorney is basically saying, hey, Judge, we want you to hold off on this until you get that review.
They are currently serving a life sentence. President Trump is keeping up his pressure on Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell after Powell said Trump's tariffs will likely cause higher inflation and slower economic growth.
I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow. And I'm not happy with him.
Washington businesses say President Trump's tariffs are hitting their bottom line. Seattle-based Swaddle Designs makes Safe Sleep baby products that are manufactured and shipped from China. COO Jeff Demir says given the tariffs,
we have a container that's right now sitting in China. That container would cost us $300,000 of extra tariffs, given the 145%.
He's keeping the shipment in China, hoping the trade war will ease. To state politics, where lawmakers are looking at shifting money around.
It's not a tax increase, but a reroute of sales taxes instead of gas tax money to better fund green transportation efforts, says its sponsor, Democratic Senator Marco Elias.
The transportation budget has long-term sustainability as we shift a portion of the state sales tax. This demonstrates the way that the people of Washington work.
Critics like Northwest Progressive Institute Director Andrew Villeneuve worry this kind of tax shuffling could hurt schools down the line.
So we're allocating future money that could be going to our schools, colleges, and universities and putting those dollars into transportation instead. Our team doesn't think that makes sense.
The sales tax switcheroo is in addition to proposals to increase the state gas tax by 6 or 9 cents a gallon. Matt Markovich, KIRO News Radio.
On Wall Street, the Dow is down 414 points. NASDAQ is up about 3. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk in Bellevue, a crash is blocking a lane on I-405 northbound near Southeast 8th Street. You're backed up from I-90 through Woodridge. Travel time Renton to Bellevue is half an hour, about 15 minutes longer than usual. Watch out for road crews near Enumclaw. A striping crew is on State Route 410 between White River Bridge and Grass Mountain. And on State Route 18 westbound between Auburn and Maple Valley, there will be periodic lane closures for road work. Traffic brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. For all your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop freaking, call Beacon. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine today with highs in the mid-60s. It's 59 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. Angela Poe Russell in today. Angela, so you said you wanted to PS the AI question over our last story about AI and hacking into these crosswalks in Seattle.
Because I think the people who did this, not only were they delivering a message around, they talked about taxes, they talked about the rich, all that, but they are, in my view anyway, sending a message about AI. I mean, the fact that they were able to manipulate these tech leaders' voices and create these things. I mean, it is in and of itself, they're making their point. And it just made me think about, I listen to Bill Maher once a week on HBO, and he actually talked about the idea of how far we are going with this and how it's something we didn't even ask for. He called it reverse improvement.
Okay.
He's like, technology is supposed to make our lives better. And he's like, I'm not really. And on one hand, yes, we're able to have it help with our homework or help with our letters, AI, things like that.
It speeds up searches and all these different things.
Let's just hear a clip of what he said.
Our tech overlords do stuff because they can, not because we need it or it's good for us, and they don't care about the consequences. Here in the land of the endless update, if you let one of the jillion cameras at the Intuit Dome scan your face, you can buy a hot dog without ever interacting with a human. Progress. Is it progress that we're moving ever closer to where we never engage with other human beings? Is it good that CEOs used to brag about how many people they employed, but now they brag about how many they're throwing out of work? Mark Zuckerberg says we're approaching the point where a lot of the code in our apps is actually going to be built by AI instead of people. Great, but what happens to coders, Mark? Well, he says they're going to be freed up to do kind of crazy things. Yeah, like starve. But hey, at least I have a smart planter now that DMs my phone if my begonia is thirsty, something humans figured out 12,000 years ago.
I love that you brought this back. Oh, my God. Because, when we're talking to Heather earlier about the return of production to America, and is it Litkin, the Commerce Secretary, or the whatever secretary he is? The guy that's telling us that it's all about bringing products back to America, about manufacturing phones in America.
I know what you're talking about.
But then, he also admitted out loud, well, actually, it's going to be robotics. So when we bring all these jobs back to America, there'll be 3 guys pushing buttons at the beginning of a shift and 1,000 robots building these jobs. Manufacturing is a robotic future in this country. No one's going to have 500 guys on an assembly line in Detroit building a Buick. There's going to be 5 guys working in a factory that's completely automated.
So they'll fix the robots. We'll work on fixing the robots.
Yeah, they'll grease the wheels once in a while. Yeah, and so we have transitioned from a production to a service industry, as we should. And when I say service industry, I'm not about people who bring your food to your table. Lawyers work in the service industry. People that perform services that others need. We're not going to become a production industry.
You don't think so? There's no. You don't see. Yeah.
Will there be increased production jobs in America? Yes, as there should. But we're not going to change the dynamic of the global economy.
This is like that musical Hairspray where they sing that song, "You Can't Stop the Beat."
Yeah.
Basically, you're saying it's already in motion. It's far.
Probably you talk to Bill Maher's point about reverse improvement. Reverse improvement. So the goal of this administration through these tariff implementations and the lack of consistency, which is crushing every bit of the global economy, and pushing us toward what many experts feel is a global recession. Mm-hmm. It's this daydream about a hearkening back to make America sweat again. Make America stand on their feet and carry a lunch pail and listen to a whistle as they all trot toward this factory that puts black smoke into the air.
Did you just come up with this off the top of the dome?
Yeah.
I mean, that was to make America sweat again.
That's what it is. We're sweating every aspect of our life. Well, some of us are. Some of us are sweating. You know, on a day when the stock market loses, $6 trillion in one day, Trump points around the Oval Office to that guy made $2.1 billion. That guy made $900 million today. That guy, and they're all laughing and chuckling. The lack of regard for everyday American life is mind-boggling in the situation. And then back to AI. You know who's going to lose in the AI situation? Law clerks, people who do research, in any way, shape, or form. People who sit in and there's a benefit. I get there's a genuine benefit to having an AI model run 10,000 different iterations of a genetic test on a potential vaccine that would have taken humans trial and error months, if not years. I get that there's a genuine benefit to the solution.
Yeah,
but it's at a cost.
Yes, medical research, AI, I think is going to be huge, and it's helping them already in terms of love that.
Should, yeah.
Here is what concerns me, and when you get AI in the wrong hands, which has already happened, is their ability to just sort through your records like that, your history like that, and find the people who did X, Y, Z, or this little thing and gotcha. That really, that used to be a labor-intensive process to search through someone's social media. And now, just like that. I mean, there's a movie that's out right now on one of these platforms. It's so good. It's called G20. Okay. And it's starring Viola Davis. And, okay, first of all, it's just a great movie. It's just a great movie, period. Wow. But it absolutely centers around AI. And it's, yes. Over here.
The only movie I need to know about AI is Terminator. When we have
Terminator, bring Arnold Schwarzenegger back.
Well, it used to be science fiction that the AI and the robots and Skynet would figure out that humans were the problem, and since their job is to run things more efficiently, let's just get rid of the humans. It's going to be a much happier planet if we don't have this infestation of human life. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where we're just blithely running toward this because it makes my day a little easier. When I do a Google search on something, I don't have to go through the various, the ranked responses to my Google search.
It tries to summarize it for me.
And everyone,
I'm like, I don't need your summary.
Well, there was a recent study we brought to the air that says 70% of people don't bother looking at any of the search results of a Google search. They will trust AI.
I'm one of them. I got to be honest.
You'll trust AI to say, oh, that's what I wanted to know. Now I don't have to look about which resource it comes from. Is that a valid resource? Mm-hmm. Is it a credible, trustworthy source? No. The same folks that are teaching us how to watch TikTok videos and hate the way we look and lie about how much money we make and what kind of food we have, what kind of vacations we have. We'll talk about that coming up next, too. Trust me, that's a crazy moment.
Yeah.
These are the people telling us the answer to our questions. Yeah. Instead of us trusting our own ability to discern fact from bullcrap.
Yep.
We are breeding out the ability to be critical thinkers, to do our own research, to understand what a valid, trustworthy source is, and to our detriment. We're becoming just this marching army of lemmings and sheep being led.
Yes. By the way, someone was just texting about how they love Bill Maher. Do you know he recently had a meeting with President Trump? Did you hear about that?
Of course I am. I'm a devout Bill Maher fan.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I mean, every week I wait for it. When he goes on vacations, I hate his vacations.
Me too. It's like, you're on vacation again, dude?
So I love that Bill Maher went to his White House dinner with the president. I love that Kid Rock set it up, and Kid Rock's another joke. Don't get me started. And the fact that President Trump was a human and engaging and empathetic.
He said he was different than what he's like. Yeah.
And that's great because President Trump is a performer, first and foremost. He runs this administration like it's a reality TV show. All he cares about is the ratings. When you talk about a reporter comes in and asks a question of President Trump in any situation, the first thing he'll do is knock about how nobody watches their network. It's about the ratings with it. It's not about the validity of the question. If it's a genuine concern for the American people, if it's a true policy question based in law, that's why nobody watches your network. It's all about ratings with him. I love that Bill Maher saw that there was a human, an engaged human. He wasn't as crazy as I thought he was. But is he still doing the things that trouble you? He's a nice guy at dinner. He made eye contact. He was cordial. He laughed. He was congenial. Is he still pushing policy agendas that undermine the rule of law in this country? Then who cares what kind of meal he served and how funny he was at dinner? That's what matters about, my meeting with the president. Bill Maher had him sign a sheet of 60 jokes that he told about Trump and got his autograph on it, like he's going to frame it somewhere.
Are you angry at Bill Maher over this?
I'm glad. No, I'm glad that I'm of two minds. I'm glad that he did this.
Okay.
I'm glad that he went and spoke to the president. And maybe did he address some concerns he has to Trump? Did Trump earnestly listen and hear what he was saying with an empathetic ear and an understanding of a different point of view? I doubt that. But you can't ignore your genuine concerns, if you have them, about this administration and the direction it's taking this country, and just assuage you because he was a nice guy at dinner who laughed.
I felt like, I don't think that Bill has pulled any punches. I think Trump already knew how he felt about him because Bill talks about it every week and did so after. I took away the point that he was making is that the person we see on TV was not kind of the same he met behind the scenes.
That's kind of what I was saying. He's performing for us.
And that, I think, is a notable takeaway, because I'd like to think that, Spike, you are who you are in that newsroom, and when you're in front of the mic, you're the same person.
I try to swear a little less in here. I know and Laura and I have talked about that along with the HR department about sometimes
And we'll continue to have that conversation.
Apparently we'll need to. When we come back, we'll change this up to something that matters to you in your daily life. It's about a local event coming up that you won't want to miss, and we'll tell you all about it when we come right back after these.
KIRO News Radio, your home for the John Curley Show. Weekdays from 3 to 7 p.m.
The economy is like a machine. You have two levers. You can push the lever forward, you can make money cheap, and then people buy and they invest. Then the economy really starts cooking. Well, it starts cooking so much inflation can come in there as well. You pull that lever back, and now you increase the cost to borrow, which slows the economy down, and it just basically puts the brakes on everything.
Streaming live on your smart speaker.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. Greg, people often think about the financial obligations when they owe money to the IRS, and it's crushing them, but it's also crushing their spirit.
It does. And folks, look, I know when you are in a place where you're owing money or you know you haven't filed, it starts building that emotional pressure on you.
And I imagine for a lot of folks, the fear of getting called at work or having other people find out about what they owe is just adding to the stress.
Everything, I think, adds to the stress. And I just want everyone to know, too, that we're non-judgmental. And the most difficult thing you might have is picking up that phone and calling for someone to help you.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, you have to call Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
Are you working in the refrigeration industry? Are you staying up on current regulations? Well, Local 32 can help advance your career. That's right. Learn more at ualocal32.com. Again, that's ualocal32.com.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of their National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through April 20th. Stop by any of their participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference at drhorton.com. That's drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha!
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Guys, thinking about testosterone replacement therapy? Revive Men's Health can help you get started if you're ready to book your free T-check. Visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. That's Revive, R-E-V-I-B-E, menshealth.com.
We live in one of the most beautiful places on Earth, and owning your own deck is a great way to enjoy it. But finding the right decking solution can be overwhelming. That's why all 9 of our Puget Sound locations offer decking showrooms, so you can get your hands and toes on the more than 60 decking options we carry. So if you have any questions about building, maintaining, or repairing your deck, contact me personally. Mike Dunn at DunnLumber.com.
Fiber on decking is now available at Dunn Lumber, your deck headquarters.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the Jake and Spike Show. Jake Skorheim will be back tomorrow. He's enjoying some time today with his lovely family, as we all should, more often than we do. Angela Poe Russell sitting in with us today. We appreciate you being here. We talked about now an event coming up that will impact all of us. At least I hope it will. We're talking about the 2025 Ultimate Taco Crawl in Burien. Beginning this Sunday, 15 different taco places, taco joints they call them. I love that. 15 different taco joints will take part, in a 2-week taco crawl competition that runs this Sunday through Monday, May the 5th. And there will be winners for the of the competing taco joints and prizes awarded. And I think this is the kind of stuff that I love when communities do this, when they rally around local businesses and they celebrate the flavor of their community. You know, my wife was born and raised in Burien. And it was one of the first, when I moved to Seattle back in the late 80s, I got to know Old Town, downtown Burien, very well. My wife worked every Christmas at a local jeweler who has since, closed their doors, called Jorstad Jewelers. And my wife worked there every Christmas when she was a teenager and then got back to working Christmas then at Jorstad Jewelers. I would go and play Santa at the jewelry store every Christmas for an afternoon. Yeah, look at me, I'm built for the job. But I love Burien, and the Burien is a very diverse community now. It is a very prominent Hispanic American community, and they're celebrating that in Burien, and I love this. Yep. And believe it or not, I'm a big taco guy.
Yeah.
I love a good taco.
Can't believe it.
Yeah, I know, right? Hard to believe.
One thing I like about this, I think we get so caught up. I don't know about you all, but you go to the same places, you go to the same restaurants, the same place.
Absolutely.
And so I like that this encourages you to try out some other spots.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I got to know. It looks like there's going to be one winner, right, for the best taco. But how do you, okay.
Go for it.
There
I love where you're going.
Seafood tacos.
Yep.
Then you have like the pork meat ones. And then you have places like my favorite Mexican spot in Burien. In the region, my favorite one is Centro, which is it's in Burien.
Okay.
And they have a lot of vegetarian options,
Nice.
but they still have the other meat. Still have the pork and the beef and all that. Sure. But they have a sweet potato, black bean kind of taco thing going on that's really, really good. And so then you have the vegetarian one. So I'm like, what are we going to do? But by the way, their cauliflower nachos.
Ooh. They like a cauliflower pizza crust would be made of the nacho chips?
Well, no, you still have the nacho chips.
Okay, corn chips.
But they have cauliflower on them.
Roast cauliflower.
And then they do like a cashew cheese and all the other things. But they still have the things. The guy who founded it, he is Mexican-American. His family owns restaurants in the area. And then he married a woman from the U.S. who's vegetarian. So he kind of took his culture along with,
That's so cool. And I also, I used to produce Rachel Bell's podcast, Your Last Meal, and once did an episode with her about indigenous Mexican food being originally very vegetarian based.
Interesting.
So that's really cool that goes almost back to the roots of Mexican food, just modernized with like I doubt they had cashew cheese, way back when.
I did not know that it was a lot of vegetarian
Yeah, I found that
ingredients,
totally
yeah.
fascinating. Yeah.
So how this ultimate taco crawl works is you buy a taco passport. You can get them at the Burien Farmers Market, which is on Thursdays, beginning today.
Or it says you can get it online.
Or you can get them online.
You can go online.
Yeah,
Yep.
you can get them online. And what you'll do is you'll buy this passport and you will get one free taco at all these 15 of these different participants in this championship. And Angela, you made a great point that the best taco is up to the eater.
Yeah.
What do you like best? Do you like spicy? Do you like seafood? Do you like vegetarian?
It's almost like totally different foods, like a shrimp taco versus an al pastor. Like, how do you even compare them?
You shouldn't, but you should find the one you love.
But this
at
is
the
a
ultimate
great
taco crawl.
Yeah, and they're going to announce the winners on Cinco de Mayo.
Of course, May the 5th.
I love you, Burien.
This is perfect. Thank you, Burien, for making a community I want to go back to again and again, at least 15 times over the next
right.
2 weekends. It's going to be great. All right, when we come back, we're going to get a little bit of local politics, because another local community is doing something I agree with you on this one. This is going to help mitigate one of the greatest problems facing our area today, and that's those experiencing homelessness. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. It's the Jake and Spike Show with Angela Poe Russell. We'll be right back.
For decades, KIRO Newsradio has been your go-to source for reliable news.
Traffic got worse in Seattle last year.
Seattle drivers squandered over $1,100 in lost time and productivity just sitting in traffic.
We're here to help guide you through the complexities of today's world, offering insights that allow you to see the bigger picture.
I want to dig into some of the numbers to just show you how much our transportation needs are being ignored and underfunded.
Trust KIRO Newsradio to keep you informed and connected.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-330-1991. That's 1-800-330-1991. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-330-1991. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Hi, this is Keith Dashafi, owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Are you ready to enhance your home with stunning, energy-efficient windows and doors? At Pella, we offer top-quality products with innovative designs and exceptional craftsmanship. And right now, we're offering an amazing deal. Enjoy 12 months with no interest and no payments, or get 40% off qualifying installs. My team is dedicated to helping you every step of the way. Visit PellaPNW.com to schedule your free appointment today. That's PellaPNW.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you too. Stubborn fat is really hard to get rid of, and then there's all those gimmicky lasers, fat freezing methods, and prescriptions. Imagine a simple solution that takes just one day and provides immediate noticeable results. Introducing ProSculpt. ProSculpt uses air-assisted technology that's safe and gentle yet powerful, delivering instant fat-reducing and skin-tightening results. Performed by board-certified plastic surgeons while fully awake, ProSculpt contours your body with minimal downtime. It's designed to target those problem areas: waistline, neck, face, arms, thighs. ProSculpt gently removes unwanted fat and tightens loose skin with FDA-cleared plasma technology, all in a simple, guaranteed one-day procedure. ProSculpt is one and done. Schedule your free consultation at prosculpt.com for $250 off. For powerful permanent fat removal and skin tightening that works for ladies and you men, it's prosculpt.com.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, I'm Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft, and we've got an offer you're not going to want to wait for. We'll custom build you all new cabinet doors and drawer fronts, and using our exclusive 1/4-inch solid wood refacing process, transform your existing cabinets into a beautiful new kitchen. Stop waiting. We're having a trade-in sale. You'll save $30 per door and drawer front off the cost of your new kitchen. Count them up and see how much you'll save. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Hartley Wilcox here from Wilcox Family Farms. A question we get asked a lot this time of year is, how do the hens stay warm when it's so cold out? Of course, we have nice barns to protect them from the rain, wind, and snow. But also, their feathers are like a down jacket, and if they need additional warmth, they will often snuggle together. And for those very cold days, we have heaters to keep them comfortable and happily laying eggs. Wilcox is committed to organic, humane practices that keep our hens healthy and help preserve the land. When you choose food from local family farmers like Wilcox, you support the local economy with jobs and promote environmental sustainability, making it possible for our family to keep on producing great eggs for another 100 years. Pick up Wilcox eggs at Costco, Marlene's, and Hagen's. And for a healthy snack on the go, grab some ready-to-eat, pre-peeled, hard-boiled eggs in a convenient to-go 2-pack. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Steel.
I'm Linda Kenyon. A suspect is in custody after a shooting at Florida State University. At least 6 people have been injured. Ryan Cedergran was inside the Student Union building when the shots rang out.
I was calm, I think, throughout most of it. There were people around me that were panicking.
This student ran for safety.
I was just running in the direction that everybody else was running, trying to get out of there. And then once I felt like I was at a safe enough distance, I went to my car to get off campus because I didn't know where that shooter was going to be going or anything like that.
Another student clearly shaken.
I just feel awful for the students on there having to go through these emotions right now, dealing with scared for their lives, honestly. It's really scary.
Law enforcement says it has neutralized the threat, but also urged students to avoid several buildings on campus, saying they are still an active crime scene. An appeals court is calling the Trump administration's defiance over deportation flights to El Salvador shocking. Before the ruling, President Trump stood by the deportations, but also referred reporters to lawyers handling the case.
That's what the public wanted, and that's what I'm doing. But you have to speak to the lawyers because it's up to them.
At Harvard, protests growing after the Trump administration took aim at the school's international students and its tax-exempt status. Harvard is the first university to openly defy the administration's demands related to activism on campus, anti-Semitism, and diversity. CBS's Stacey Lynn reports on the progress of a minerals deal with Ukraine.
While the details are still being worked out, President Trump says the deal is back on track.
We have a minerals deal, which I guess is going to be signed on Thursday, Scott, next Thursday. Soon. and I assume they're going to live up to the deal, so we'll see.
The initial agreement fell through when Ukrainian President Zelensky clashed with the president in the Oval Office at the end of February. Trump has demanded the deal as a payback for the weapons and aid the U.S. provided Ukraine during the over 3-year-old war. Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
President Trump praising the Texas House for passing school choice vouchers.
President Trump on social media calling this a gigantic victory for Texas students. Senate Bill 2 would give parents more than $10,000 in taxpayer money through an education savings account to send their child to a private school. Republican State Rep Brad Buckley.
Empowering parents to choose the educational path that best fits their child's needs.
State House Democrats had been able to kill similar bills in the past. If the Senate approves the House changes, Governor Abbott will sign it into law.
KRLD's Chris Fox. On Wall Street, the Dow lost more than 520 points. This is CBS News.
Steel walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
A former high school basketball coach finds out how much time he'll spend in prison for sexually abusing players. Details coming up at first from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk. In Bellevue, the crash has been cleared from I-405 northbound near Southeast 8th Street. Backups are dissipating and travel time Renton to Bellevue is back down to about 17 minutes. That's nearly on target. Keep an eye out for road crews today near Enumclaw. A striping crew's out on State Route 410 between White River Bridge and Grass Mountain. And on State Route 18 westbound between Auburn and Maple Valley, there will be periodic lane closures for road work. Traffic brought to you by Kia of Everett. At Kia of Everett, they make the process of buying a new Kia as exciting as it is driving it home. The best drive you'll ever make is to Kia of Everett.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Heather Bosch. A former Sumner High School coach found guilty of sexually abusing 8 players will spend the next 40 years in prison. That was the sentence handed down today to Jacob Jackson in Pierce County. KIRO 7 TV was in court when one of his victims said Jackson took his youth.
My innocence, my sense of security, and my ability to simply exist as a teenager without fear or shame.
Jackson coached between 2016 and 2022. A shooting in Tacoma on Saturday is now a homicide investigation. Police say an adult and a teenager were shot along Portland Avenue. The victims managed to get to a hospital. The adult was in stable condition, but the teen has now died of his injuries. No word on arrests. A 24-year-old woman, a 19-year-old man, and a juvenile now face hate crime charges.
Prosecutors allege it was back in February when the suspects harassed and shot paintball guns at patrons of the Pony Bar on Capitol Hill. Police say the three circled the bar in a car at least 10 times and yelled anti-gay, anti-transgender slurs. The adults pleaded not guilty. The juvenile will be in court next week. James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
When you hit that button at a crosswalk, you expect to hear,
"Walk sign is on."
But at some crosswalks in Seattle, people heard Jeff Bezos.
This crosswalk is sponsored by Amazon Prime with an important message. Please don't tax the rich. Otherwise, all the other billionaires will move to Florida, too.
That sound sharing on Reddit. The city says crosswalks at 6 intersections had been hacked and are now fixed. A similar hack happened in Northern California, where crosswalk devices spouted fake Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk messages. We may have our clearest picture yet on when the NBA might consider bringing back the Sonics. Commissioner Adam Silver says expansion talks will begin this summer with Seattle and Las Vegas as the league's top destinations.
I look at the success of those markets for other major league teams now. So it's easy to present a scenario where you can see it working successfully for the league.
Silver was speaking to the Pat McAfee Show on ESPN. It will be 17 years this July that the Sonics left Seattle. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine today with highs in the mid-60s. It's 62 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO Newsradio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO Newsradio.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill, Ansipo Russell in today for Jake Skorheim. We're going to turn our attention now to Pierce County, where it's been announced today. It's in the Tacoma. I apologize. The TNT, the Tacoma News Tribune, one of the finest local papers still in existence to this day. Pierce County announces $6 million awarded in eviction prevention program that's going to help the state's lower income families avoid eviction. By the way, Pierce County has one of the highest eviction rates in the state of Washington.
Yeah. Apparently higher than King County. I was really surprised to hear that. Yeah.
And they have, I think, the second highest number of rental properties in the state, behind only King County. And this is $6.3 million awarded from the Pierce County Humane Services. It's been awarded to a locally run organization called the Multicultural Child and Family Hope Center. By all accounts, they have wonderful history and reviews on how they spend county money. They're a very responsible partner in helping these families avoid eviction. The qualifications are needs-based. It'll be a one-time post or overdue rent, an overdue rent bill one time on a lottery basis. Families will apply for this as needed basis, and then the award is given just once to each family. And again, it's a lottery system. Everyone applies who needs the help. They'll be drawn on a monthly basis from a lottery, and once you've had their assistance once, that's the help you can get.
Right. And I love this program for that reason, because I think we've all heard of these cases that they keep year after year getting the assistance on the taxpayer dime. And sometimes the people getting it are doing, nefarious things. And it's not.
Right. This is the waste, fraud, and abuse we're all trying to get rid of.
Exactly. So I love, because I think we all can relate to falling on hard times and needing support. And so being able to offer that one-time support. And then I'm also for what works. And at least according to the data they're presenting, they're saying 97% of the people who receive assistance actually stay in their home. So only a 3% non-successful rate.
Yeah.
And
that's the kind of results you can argue.
And I appreciate and hope that more agencies actually do this. They always say they will. But the idea that if you get public money, you need to come back and prove what you did.
Yes, accountability.
Right?
Yes.
Here's how it's going. Here's the wins, the losses, all of that.
And the Multicultural Child and Family Hope Center, they also provide, services to these families to help them manage their finances, straighten out their situations, set budgets for their households, help them apply for other assistance programs that may not be aware of, can help them bridge this gap of economic uncertainty. And what we're talking about here is keeping people off the streets. We talk about the homeless situation, those experiencing homelessness. And, again, Pierce County has the highest eviction rate in the state of Washington.
Right.
And this is preventive money, well spent.
And it always strikes me how many kids, because I think we think about the person in the tent and
those most
the man,
visible, yeah.
But the fact that we have children kind of who are, they're part of families and experiencing this, and just the disruption for them and the trauma related to that. So I'm glad that the program is there and is doing some good.
It's an investment in the stability of the community and making those of us who aren't experiencing this horrible situation, it's better for us too. It keeps people off the streets, keeps them in the rental properties in their homes. Great program. I'm glad to see this announcement. Let's turn our attention nationally, and because we haven't brought this up on the show so far, and it's a big story. It's getting lots of course you've heard about it. We're talking about the Trump administration's deportation policies, specifically with the gentleman from the Maryland man who was swept up in an international deportation of what the Trump administration labels as terrorists, invaders to this country under the Alien Enemies Act from 1797 that President Trump invoked, given what he calls a crisis at the border and a crisis of immigration and a crisis of crime through illegal immigrants in this country.
And this is the person they said they made a clerical error and when he was sent, and then the court said, no, you need to facilitate the return. And then the president of El Salvador came and said, President of El Salvador came and said, no, it'd be like smuggling a terrorist back in. And
that whole situation. The president of El Salvador came for a meeting in the Oval Office, and these guys play, it's not my job, his job, not my job, his job. With a human life. And what troubles me, and I know, before you tell me that on the text line, 888-973-5476, I know a lot of you already are unhappy with my fear-mongering about the Trump administration's policies with regard to tariffs and the economy and pending recessions and all those things. I would just say it's not just me. It's leading economists across the planet will tell you that these uncertainties of these Trump and maybe these tariff policies will get us better Trump or better trade deals, I should say.
I think we all are rooting for us.
We're hoping.
Like we
we're
want
hoping,
to win. Right?
I'm not rooting for the guy to fail. I'm just looking at the wins and the leading experts in economics who say this uncertainty is not good for the U.S. economy. And with the stock market issues and the unemployment increase, 100,000 federal workers have already been laid off with DOGE and all the inconsistencies of the DOGE policies, yada, yada, yada. When we're talking about due process and human rights and these alleged terrorists who were rounded up on the street and sent to El Salvador, offshored to a notorious, it's not even a prison. You can't even call this place a prison because a prison is where someone goes who has had a trial. You've had a trial. Due process. You've been convicted of a crime and you go to serve in a prison. This is a death camp. This is a concentration camp overseas. And this man from Maryland who entered the country, and I'll give you, he entered the country illegally. He pled that he had fear for his life from gangs in his native El Salvador.
And he was 15 at the time.
15 years old. He was then labeled an MS-13 gang member by an anonymous informant to a law enforcement officer, and that has since been debunked. The testimony of this informant and the officer has been deemed uncredible. A federal judge granted this man asylum in America. He said he had a valid asylum claim for fear of violence and even death if returned to El Salvador. He was living in this country for 15 years. He had a family. He has 3 children. He worked for a union. And he was swept up off the street. And again, like Angela said, admittedly, mistakenly, by this government and sent off with, and he's not the only one in that group who was swept up mistakenly.
Yeah.
And people are fighting to get these people back. And that's the issue here, is that are we a nation of laws and due process? And, if these 263 people, by the way, 60 Minutes did a piece 2 weekends ago that 75% of these swept up and have no criminal record. Now, they may very well be gang affiliated with Trente Agua, this horrific violent gang from Venezuela. They may very well be part of that. Then let's take them to court. Let's give them due process.
Yeah, I don't want gangs here. I mean, I don't want gangs here.
Nobody does. Nobody wants criminals here.
And then, it came out today that this guy, I think it's Abrego, it says, forgive me for mispronouncing his last name if I did, y'all. But he was accused, I guess there was a report of him domestic violence.
His wife sought a protection order against him years ago.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
And no matter what I personally hate, there's a reason we have a court system and a process.
Yeah.
Because when we don't, if we say the laws apply this time and not that time, and the laws apply to this person, not that person, one day it's going to be us or someone that we like. It's just a real slippery slope when we start because then they can pick and choose.
Yeah.
Then they can pick and choose. And today you may be the one that's okay, but tomorrow you may not be. And so there's a reason we have a justice system. It is imperfect, but it's there for a reason. Because if we study history, awful things have happened, not only here, but around the world when we deviate from a process.
Absolutely true.
And so I'm a fan of that. I mean, there are some big questions here that I have in light of all this, because I think there were a lot of people who agreed that if someone is here, if they came illegally and they committed a crime, that we need to get them out of here. They should not be allowed to stay in our country. Yeah. That felt like a very bipartisan thing.
It's very reasonable.
It feels very bipartisan. Yeah. So that's what President Trump promised when he campaigned.
Right. He was asked specifically about who would you be targeting, the most violent amongst us.
The most violent amongst us, right? Yeah. So then he gets in office and it's like, so they're very good about twisting the words. So we said criminal. And if you came in illegally, then you're a criminal. So then it became that.
Move the goalpost.
You move the goalpost.
Yeah.
So now we have, for example, a couple in California, been here 35 years.
Yeah.
3 of their kids are U.S. citizens, have gone on to college.
Right.
No criminal record at all other than entering. So they were they had jobs, working members of society, all the things. And yeah, they were put in handcuffs and you got to go, and they had been going to their appointments, doing all the things.
Right. Doing the things you ask of an immigrant to this country, seeking citizenship. Yeah.
So I guess what I would want to know, like for everyone listening, like if let's say most of us agree on, yes, let's get criminals out of there. And we're talking about violent criminals. But if their only crime is that they came illegally and they did try to go through the process and they've checked in, they've done all the things, do you still favor this kind of arrest and get out? And if so, what's the, what I'd love the logic. And so can I keep going or do you want to weigh in?
No, by all means.
So then we have these situations here at the University of Washington where these international students, it was found that they had, they lost their ability to be here. I forget what the title of it, but I'll pull up the article.
Yep.
So they terminated their lawful status, student lawful status.
Legal, yeah.
And so what came
to be a
up,
foreign student in the United States.
So here's what I want to know from you guys, because this is a really good debate. They said a student pursuing his master's degree had a misdemeanor driving conviction.
Right.
It was a misdemeanor driving. Another student was charged but not convicted with driving under the influence. Now, federal law states that a student can fall out of legal status if they're convicted of violence.
Right.
But not for these things. So
again,
they
moving the
filed
goalposts.
suit.
Yeah, and justifying this blanket deportation of foreigners because being here illegally is enough of a crime for us to warrant your deportation.
Yeah.
You talked about violent criminals. We can all agree no one's violent criminals here in this country, whether legally or illegal. We don't want them roaming our streets. We want safe communities. We want safe schools. Of course we do. But now we're just talking about performative politics, where this is what the president ran on, was being the deportation president. Mm-hmm. No, what he ran on was ending violent criminals on our streets.
Yeah.
Not just rounding up people who are here. And I understand. If we all want legal immigration to go through the processes of entering this country and seeking legal citizenship. But to your point about these students, they've done that. The students who have been rounded up from Columbia or from Tufts for the speech that they make, for the op-ed pieces that they write for school newspapers.
And let's talk about this because have you all been following Spike, this young adult, Columbia? So he was president of the Palestinian Student Union and was involved in the protests. But then he backed away from before it got violent, he says he had actually backed away from that. So that was his thing. So before he was arrested by ICE, he met with this reporter from CBS News. So he had done an interview with CBS News telling her about this appointment he had coming up to make his citizenship official. So let's talk about this. So he left New York to go into hiding. Again, this is before the arrest. Take a listen. Oh, I thought
to leave your housing and hide.
After I learned about the detention of Mahmoud, so technically the process for justice was missing there. I became a target. I received death threats. Some people actually found where I was, and they slipped a paper underneath my door saying, "We are watching you."
So he goes into hiding, and then while he's in hiding, he gets this long-awaited citizenship appointment and was telling CBS News about his fear. Was it real? Was it a trap?
When you got the appointment, what were your thoughts?
Mixed feelings. I've been waiting for this for more than a year. And the other feeling is like, wait a minute, is this a honey trap?
You think they could be calling you in to detain you?
Correct.
And that is it okay? Do we have time to hear that sound?
Sure. Yeah,
please.
It
happened and CBS News was there. He went in for the appointment.
Mohsen just walked into the building where the appointment is happening. Soon after, we saw what appeared to be officers strapping on vests.
This is ICE. All of those trucks were ICE.
An hour later, Madawi was let out in handcuffs. He was set to graduate next month.
If my story will become another story for the struggle to have justice and democracy in this country, let it be.
Yeah, so...
And the story's a perfect illustration of accusations against this young man. that he supports terrorism, since he's a pro-Palestinian student organization member, he is pro-Hamas, according to this administration. They make allegations of a connection to terrorism.
And he has publicly said he actually has compassion for Israel, Like that's not his, I'm not getting, I don't see any evidence to support that he was causing terrorist activities.
That's the thing, again, with the man from Maryland, an accusation he's an MS-13 gang member. He's a terrorist. Without any proof provided for that. And when asked for proof, they cite court cases that have been rejected, evidence or testimony that has been dismissed. The guy, are accusations enough? Accusations can't be enough. That's what due process is. For the 263 men shipped off to Venezuela, even if they're gang members with Trente Agua or whatever, they deserve, believe me, they deserve a day in court, because when they don't get theirs, next up, who knows, doesn't get yours.
It's that whole quote of a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yeah. And and you've all heard they came for this group and I didn't speak up because I wasn't that group, and then they came for them and I didn't speak up because I wasn't that. But then when they came for me, no one was left to speak up for me. That's kind of where we're headed with this. When the president decides what the law is. When the Attorney General Pam Bondi goes on many network television shows and speaks from the podium of the White House, calling that man from Maryland a terrorist, calling him a gang member with no proof offered, and just with allegation alone is good enough for this administration and good enough for a large portion of American citizens who are all for getting violence off our streets. Then let's make sure they're actually violent people. Let's make sure that evidence is provided and due process, and innocent until proven guilty is still the law of the land in this country.
This is hitting so hard because I saw a musical last night at Fifth Avenue Theater in Seattle, and it's called Parade. So you can look it up, Parade. And it's the true story of a Jewish man in the Deep South being accused of a crime he did not commit.
Right.
And now in Georgia, they are in the process of trying to undo what they did. But obviously, it's not going to, I won't tell you how it all ends. It wasn't great. But it just kind of, you spend 2 hours in the show just seeing how injustice
what
can unfold.
Happen. Yeah, if we're not a nation based on the rule of law, if we're not that, then we're nothing. That is the fundamental, foundational pillar of this society, is that we are a nation of laws and that no one is above the law in this country. And you have, and you can tell me all day long that I've got Trump derangement syndrome and that I've got, I'm only seeing things from it's orange man bad, blah, 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 blah.
I don't see that from
you. I hear it from people who have different points of view from mine, and that's fine. Have your point of view. I'll have mine. But I truly believe that I do take my due diligence seriously. I try to find as much as I can about these stories that we bring to you on a daily basis here. Mm-hmm. And when someone is accused, if that's enough to sentence a man to a life in what's jokingly called a prison, and the court's ruling, the Supreme Court ruling that this man needs to be brought back to America is ignored. We're at a moment of truth here as a culture, as a society, as a country. And I think if you don't stand up, you deserve what you get. And I'm not going to not stand up.
The song last night, one of the major songs, was "Where Will You Stand When the Flood Comes?" Where will you stand? Where will you stand?
And we'd love to hear your points of view on all these topics, especially this one, 888-973-5476. I know Laura, and by the way, Laura reads and reviews the text line for us. So you have vitriol from my point of view. Remember, Laura's the one that's going to see it.
Me.
And let's discuss these issues together. Let's hear opposing viewpoints. Tell me why you think I'm wrong. I'd love to hear these things. That's what makes this country great, is that we all have a First Amendment right to voice our opinions. We'll be right back after these. It's the Jake and Spike Show with Angela Poe Russell sitting in.
This hour is brought to you by Insulation Northwest.
KIRO News Radio, your home for the John Curley Show.
You take the money from the guy that made the money because somehow he doesn't deserve all of that money, and you give it to the government, and then they redistribute it to everybody. How is wealth created from that? It is never created. We are all richer because these people, they came up with some pretty cool ideas that we all benefit from. Most of these guys didn't set out to be billionaires, but they set out to do was solve a problem.
Find podcasts and more at mynorthwest.com.
It's Jim Singletary, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, here to tell you the right way to choose a roofer. And it's not by choosing the lowest bid. Just comparing numbers? Terrible idea. A low price doesn't tell you if the job will be done right, and it definitely doesn't tell you anything about the contractor. Instead, treat hiring a roofer like a job interview. Ask them, why did my old roof fail early? What's the right solution for me, and why? Have you been around for at least 10 years? A new roof is a huge investment, and the job shouldn't go to the lowest bidder. It should go to the most qualified. At RoofSmart, we've got over a decade of experience, a team of more than 50 full-time pros, and real answers, not just numbers. Plus, we're certified, insured, and properly licensed. We'd love to apply for your roofing job. Call 206-487-4877 or visit GetRoofSmart.com today. That's 206-487-4877 or online at GetRoofSmart.com.
The preseason AC sale is on now at Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. This month only, keep your home cool and your wallet comfortable with 15% off. Plus, free financing on all air conditioners, heat pumps, and ductless systems. Trust the team voted best in the Pacific Northwest and call Bob's today for your free estimate. Hurry, the discount reduces to 10% off in May. Call Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning today.
Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. Call Bob.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s. And less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Meanwhile, at Xfinity.
So, influencer life going well?
Oh, yeah. I'm up to 32 followers.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, posting my tap dancing videos is easier than ever because we engineered Xfinity Internet with 99.99% network reliability.
Plus, Xfinity Mobile with Wi-Fi Power Boost gives you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. But wait, tap dancing? You don't tap dance.
Hey, what I lack in skill, I make up with passion.
Do more of what you love and love how fast you do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. Through June 23rd, get 400 megabit Xfinity Internet with free equipment and unlimited internet data. Plus, get one unlimited 5G mobile line included, all for $40 a month for 1 year. And ask how you can get a free 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply with paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Xfinity Internet required. Taxes, fees extra. After 1 year, rate increases to $70 per month. After 2 years, regular rates apply. Actual fees vary and not guaranteed.
It may be the most noble profession.
Come on.
It's the work of heroes.
Heroes?
You want to live without plumbing?
Well, no.
Then you need plumbers.
Right.
Thing is, so do I.
You need plumbers.
Smiles, actually.
Smiling plumbers?
Or someone who smiles and wants to become an Apollo plumber.
A smile. That's what it takes?
Skills are something we can teach.
Sure.
But a positive attitude comes from within.
That's a big part of being an Apollo plumber.
The biggest part.
What else?
A desire to learn and serve.
Just like every Apollo plumber.
As they learn, so shall they earn.
Earn?
Apollo plumbers can earn 6 figures.
Enough to make me smile.
We believe you get what you give.
Give a smile.
And Apollo service.
Get a smile.
A well-paid smile.
Driving one of those big blue Apollo trucks.
That's the goal.
Does seem pretty noble.
It's important, satisfying work.
And you're looking now?
There's always room for another smile around here.
On the Apollo Plumbing team.
Apply at apolloplumbing.com.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, I'm Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft, and we've got an offer you're not going to want to wait for. We'll custom build you all new cabinet doors and drawer fronts, and using our exclusive 1/4-inch solid wood refacing process, transform your existing cabinets into a beautiful new kitchen. Stop waiting. We're having a trade-in sale. You'll save $30 per door and drawer front off the cost of your new kitchen. Count them up and see how much you'll save. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Cars for Kids, your trusted charity for car donations, also accepts donations of boats, RVs, motorcycles, and real estate. Call today, 877-CARS4KIDS.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. At least 6 people are injured, one of them critically, during a shooting at Florida State University today. This student was in his economics class at the time.
Why did things like this, keep happening? I'm at a loss for words, honestly.
Police say that shooter is in custody. U.S. Supreme Court says it will hear arguments over President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. Loyola Law professor Lori Levinson.
The Supreme Court wants to resolve this so you don't have continuing cases in courts throughout the land, because that is what's likely to happen if the court doesn't finally decide it.
Washington's Attorney General Nick Brown brought the original lawsuit challenging the president's order, which remains on hold. High Court is scheduled to hear oral arguments in the case on May 15th. A ruling today by the Washington Supreme Court says voters cannot rewrite homeless policy for cities. In a 6-2 decision, the justices blocked a voter initiative in Spokane. It would have established stricter rules for encampments that go beyond current city law. The court ruled the initiative was an overstep of voter authority. Now to the closing bell reports. A key Washington state industry says it could take a multi-million-dollar hit due to tariffs. Chris Stone is deputy director of the Washington State Wine Commission. He says the tariffs have drawn retaliation.
The best example would be Canada, our number one export market, which literally disappeared overnight.
And as CBS's Vicki Barker reports, the tariffs just forced the European Central Bank to cut interest rates.
ECB President Christine Lagarde using the words uncertainty and incredulity to describe America's massive shift in trade policy and allies' attempts to absorb it. Asked if we've passed peak uncertainty.
I don't know whether we are at peak.
Suggesting policymakers worldwide now have to be nimble in responding to the latest financial shocks from Washington. Vicki Barker, CBS News, London.
Here in the U.S., Fed Chair Jerome Powell says it's too early for us to cut interest rates. He wants more clarity on the impact of tariffs. At the close today, mixed results. The Dow down 527, NASDAQ lost 20, but the S&P gained 7 points. Now to the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk. This report is brought to you by ProSculpt, and we start in Seattle on I-5 northbound. Just north of Albro Place, a collision partially blocking the right lane. Not too big of a backup there into downtown Seattle. Bigger problem in Mount Vernon, though, on I-5 northbound just south of College Way. Disabled vehicle blocking the right lane, looking at about a 3-mile backup now through Mount Vernon. Rest of the map, pretty much average for this time of day. Bellevue to Renton, about a 30-minute drive. Linwood to Seattle taking you 40. And up into Everett, about 35 to 40 minutes from Seattle or Bellevue. Right now, Tacoma to Olympia in good shape, but some slowdowns through JBLM. ProSculpt is the one-day permanent fat loss and skin tightening solution for men and women offered by New Skin Med Spa in Bellevue. Book your free consultation at prosculpt.com. Weather now brought to you by State Roofing and Exterior. Sunny skies today, highs topping out of the mid to upper 60s, low 70s tomorrow. Right now, 63 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill with Angela Poe Russell. Joining us now, our own Matt Markovich, with a story out of Olympia that I was genuinely shocked that this was being proposed, and even more so that it has made it through state legislature and is on its way to the governor's desk.
And thank you for having me on and not talking about taxes and talking about alcohol instead.
Well, I'm talking about life and the enjoyment of life.
We'll need that alcohol to deal with the taxes.
That's right. So tell us about what's been pushed through legislation and maybe sitting on the governor's desk for signature.
Yeah, very soon, and he may be raising a toast on this one when he signs it. So if we're going to get all those references out right now. So yes, this is House Bill 1515. It passed the Senate yesterday, 37-12, and basically it takes away the fences of beer gardens at big festivals like the Bite of Seattle. I mean, if you gone to any kind of big festival at the Seattle Center, there's these beer gardens. They're fenced off. They're patrolled.
And you got to enjoy the day, enjoy the music or the festivities from inside this fenced off beer garden, which, and appropriately so, had had gatekeepers checking IDs, making sure that alcohol was consumed safely and legally.
And you felt like an alcoholic animal, you know.
Instead of out there enjoying the facilities, I'm here drinking.
Yeah. So
how'd you know I felt that way? I totally felt that way.
So anyway, the idea behind this bill is that they had such good success, they felt, the lawmakers who supported this, during COVID, that restaurants, in order to stay alive, they had to sell alcohol, right? But you can't normally take it out of a restaurant. So they allowed that happen. You could put some beer or whatever liquor into a cup, make sure that cup's a top, and you could walk out of the store or the restaurant and have it. So they felt they had some success. So let's just make it bigger. And so now cities, there's a couple of ways to do this. Multiple bars, restaurants, breweries can all get together and create one single alcohol zone, like on a street.
Like, say, Pioneer Square.
Yeah, Pioneer Square. That's a great example. Yeah. They all can get together and say, hey, we're a big alcohol zone. And because we're in that zone and we promise to patrol it, without fencing, you guys can come on down. We'll apply for a permit. City of Seattle can say yes. Again, this is all predicated that the state's giving local governments the authority to do this.
Nice.
So if Seattle wants to have these zones, these bigger zones, they just say yes to the Pioneer Square area or the
Seattle
Bite
Center.
of Seattle.
Yeah.
They said, hey, you can do that. And then in terms of the Bite of Seattle, the entire perimeter of the Seattle Center becomes the alcohol zone, right at the end of the street. So the whole thing without a fence.
Right. So you can then enjoy the festivities while carrying an alcoholic beverage
That's
around.
right. You can walk around and do what you want, feel like you're in New Orleans or Las Vegas.
And there's a minimum population requirement for these possibilities to come about, right?
For large festivals like what we're talking about here, like a Seattle Center or a big, gigantic parking lot that's public, it has to be owned by the public, and only 3 cities in the state are allowed to do this. That's basically Seattle, Spokane, and Tacoma.
Yeah, based on population.
It's based on population, 220,000. So sorry, Vancouver, Washington.
Sorry,
196,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to credit.
Sorry, Sammamish.
Yeah, but what's interesting about this is the timing of this. This bill has an expiration date of December 31st, 2027. And it has special provisions in there to create fan zones for big mega sports events. And you see where I'm going with that?
I do see where you're going with this.
And there's a big mega sports event coming to Seattle in June of July of next year called the World Cup Games. And we're going to have a lot of international visitors who are very used to walking through European plazas with a drink in a hand and stuff like that. So this is actually catering to this big event. This bill is being with the idea in mind that we want to make it easy for people who are coming to Seattle or, if there's an event in Spokane, to have a beverage and walk down the street during the World Cup. Because that's what happens in the World Cup.
This is one of the best things to come out of Olympia. I'm just kidding. Okay, I cannot say that factually, but I think this is a smart business move. We want to encourage people to come here, have a good time responsibly, spend money.
Yeah.
This sounds reasonable.
So, Mark, you mentioned, Matt, sorry, I was doing it to you. You mentioned that it's on the particular organizations or the municipalities to provide security for this or to monitor these public drinking moments and situations.
It's not like all of a sudden if like the Pioneer Square and all the restaurants there say, hey, we're just going to have that, and then they don't do any policing of their own.
They'll be responsible for hiring additional security?
Well, they can. They got to work with the local municipality, but basically it's just opening up the area so you can have a beverage outside of the beer gardens or inside of a restaurant. So that's the idea behind this. There's certain limits. They can only do 25 events a year, and I won't go into all that. But so there's some limitations on it, but it's about the scope. It's all about just what we're talking about, being able to grab a drink, go to a festival.
Being treated like adults when we can act like adults.
Yeah. What's the bumper shoot? Bumper shoot, perfect example. Walk around with your beverage, go to whatever music venue you want, and not feel you had to go from one beer garden to the other.
Right, and you gotta take your and a lot of people I know firsthand, you hit the beer garden and you power drink while in the beer garden because then you want to get out and go see a band that's playing on a stage far from the beer garden. This eliminates that. People can just be adults, responsible adults.
So they have to report back. The Liquor and Cannabis Board has to report back to the legislature after the World Cup to see how it went.
Okay, I was asking about the expiration date of December 31st, 2027.
Yeah, so they're going to report back. I mean, it has a definite expiration date, but there's, if everything goes good, we may keep this. They can change the legislation and say this is going to be the way it's going to be forever. But again, in terms of those big cities, they're really catering to the big cities for large events in the big cities. Small cities, let's just say Everett, a local tavern or a restaurant or a small little street festival, the city of Everett can apply. They can apply to the Cannabis Board and have their event, and then it's kind of cordoned off. You just can't do. You have to be a little bit more tighter on the smaller cities.
Right. Well, for example, the Taste of Edmonds is our local every summer. We do a great event up in Edmonds where there's all the restaurants and there's live music in various locations throughout the course. And it's literally a street party, a field party that moves through the community of Edmonds. Mm-hmm. They could apply for an opportunity to have this larger open container within the entirety of the festival.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Oh. Someone brought up a good point. They said, how do you monitor underage drinking if you allow it out and about? That is a concern, I would imagine.
That would be a big concern.
It'd be up to the vendor, I guess, selling it, like asking for the ID.
Exactly.
Maybe cracking down on them.
Well, I think that moment it behooves the communities involved that seek out these opportunities to provide, as you mentioned, adequate supervision and security to make sure that people who are legally buying alcohol aren't then giving it to kids or letting it or whatever it might be.
So you no longer have to slam beers, Spike.
Right, I know. I had it down to 3 beers in 3 minutes, and then you wobble off to see the band.
Yeah, that's true.
Or be in the band, as some instance may have happened in life. Markovich, thank you so much for bringing us this. It's another great news story.
Great.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, what do we got coming up next? Angela Poros, let me take a look at our little calendar. I get to tell you about something I got to do this week.
Yay, okay.
I'd like to hear more about your experience at the theater, because I've got a theater experience as well. And I want to talk about, theater in general, its value to the city, and what to expect as a theater goer. What makes a good performance for you? We'll be right back after these.
The Closing Bell is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
KIRO News Radio, your home for the John Curley Show.
You take the money from the guy that made the money because somehow he doesn't deserve all of that money, and you give it to the government, and then they redistribute it to everybody. How is wealth created from that? It is never created. We are all richer because these people, they came up with some pretty cool ideas that we all benefit from. Most of these guys didn't set out to be billionaires, but they set out to do was solve a problem.
Find podcasts and more at mynorthwest.com.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Did you know that over the past 10 years, home values have increased the most during the first quarter of the year? So how much is your home worth right now? Check it out instantly at sellwithwest.com. Sure, there are other apps out there you can use, but most of them are national companies. If you want local expertise, someone who actually knows what's happening with the housing market in your neighborhood, there's no one more local than Wes Jones. If you're even thinking about making a move in 2025, go to sellwithwest.com, sellwithwest.com, and start by using their free home value calculator to see what your home is worth. It might be worth more than you think. You'll get so much more than just a number from Wes Jones. We're talking about recent sales in your neighborhood, the market temperature in your city, side-by-side comparisons of multiple online estimates. You can even calculate how much equity you have, and even a breakdown of how your home's value has changed over time. So here's what you have to do. Go to sellwithwest.com, type in your address, and bam, you'll have instant access to all of this and more. It's fast, easy, it's local. Sellwithwest.com, a better way to sell your home.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something? Boat wins! Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing? Boat wins! Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing? Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat.
Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
When the heat's in 11, cool AC would be heaven.
Dayandnight.net.
Beat the rush. Act now before summer, because that heat's a real bummer.
Dayandnight.net.
Even though our Northwest summers can be spectacular, there's always a long, hot stretch that makes everyone say, man, AC sure would be nice. Well, except for that one annoying friend who won't stop talking about how great his AC is. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. You can stay comfortably cool when those hot temps arrive. This is the time to plan ahead and call us about installing a high-efficiency AC or heat pump. Or if you have an existing system, we'll come and service it. Make sure it's running efficiently and ready to cool when you need it.
Before the summer heat wave, keep your house cool and safe.
Dayandnight.net.
Make sure your AC will keep you cool when the summer heat gets here. Save $50 on a pre-summer AC tune-up. When the heat's at 11, stay cool with Day and Night.
Dayandnight.net.
Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
It's John Curley for Window Nation. You know, April is a great time to spruce up around the house, especially during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 free sale going on now. You could pay nothing up until 2027, and they'll include a free entry door, too. Why do I trust Window Nation? Because they partner with Milgard in Tacoma to build top-quality windows to their highest standards, and they back them with a lifetime warranty. Hurry, sale ends soon, so don't wait to schedule your estimate at 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com.
Welcome back to the show. Spike O'Neill and with Angela Poe Russell. Jake Skorheim will be back tomorrow. So this week, Angela, I got the opportunity to go see a performance at the Paramount Theater, Life of Pi. We in the media are very, very lucky that we are invited in to see these performances. And I raised 2 theater kids. My oldest, went to the AMD, American Music and Dramatic Academy, down in Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to hear about that off the air.
What was I thinking? Taking a teenage girl and giving them drama lessons? Redundant. But my youngest and my oldest Ryan finished up here at Cornish College of the Arts here in Seattle. Mm-hmm. My youngest is in his 3rd year at Cornish. So when I get a chance to go to the theater with my child, we love this. It's a wonderful bonding experience. And we've seen everything from Hamilton to Lion King to Mary Poppins. We've seen them all. And thank you very much to the Paramount Theater and Broadway in Seattle. We got to see Life of Pi a couple nights ago on opening night. And the performance runs at the Paramount through this Sunday. There's a performance tonight, tomorrow, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the story of Life of Pi?
I mean, I wasn't until you mentioned it today, and you gave me a little taste of it, and it sounds really interesting.
It was the first, of course, a book, and then a movie in 2012. I think Ang Lee was the director who made this Oscar-winning performance. It's a story of a family in India who own a zoo, and because of not to give too much away, political unrest in India, the family emigrated and got visas to move to Canada. Loaded the family and certain animals from their zoo to go start a new life in Canada. Boat shipwrecks. A boat sinks. Tragedy. This young man from India survives 227 days in a lifeboat, along with 4 animals from the zoo, a tiger, a jackal, or a hyena, a zebra, and an orangutan. And the story is it's not a story for everybody because I don't to give too much of the plot twists away.
Right.
It's a story of survival, both literally survival in a boat for 227 days, and how your mind deals with trauma. But what I will speak to is how beautifully the story is told on the stage and the stagecraft that they use to go from literally it begins at a Mexican hospital where there's this rescued young man is telling the story of what happened to an insurance adjuster wants to know for various investors and whatnot what happened on the boat. You go from this hospital room to this zoo in India to this freighter that's bringing the family to a lifeboat, and there's they do a beautiful job in telling the story and the scenery and the cast, but the puppetry, because you've got this life-size zebra, this life-size orangutan, and this hyena and this tiger, who is the star of the show, along with this young 17-year-old Indian boy.
So I bet this is visual.
It's incredible, and it's literally I'm not sure if you're familiar with the kind of puppetry that was used to bring the Lion King to stage.
Oh yeah.
It's very similar to that, where you have puppeteers that are fully visible that are moving the various parts of this life-size orangutan, tiger, hyena. It's just incredible, but it's a difficult story to tell.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult story to watch, but it is so well done at the Paramount.
How did it leave you feeling? Because the reason I love stories is because, okay, how I love stories, the ability to like change you.
Okay.
More feelings. Like the way that can change your point of view, the way it can make you feel something, the way, like all the things that I love about stories. So, you go on this journey that sounds like it was beautifully done.
Very.
Yeah.
It made me feel reassured in the human condition and the human condition. What am I, Freud?
Resilience?
Yes, the ability to overcome, the ability to adapt, the ability, to. I mean, it's told with some humor at various elements. That his hallucinations come into play and help him survive. I mean, how he was resourceful in this boat, and it's a fantasy.
Yeah,
but it's wonderful.
I just it's always tough when you're so excited about a show and you want to tell people about it. It's like, how do I tell it without not giving it away?
Right.
It's so tricky, but you've done a beautiful. It sounds amazing, and I love that. That's a great takeaway, like a reminder of just how strong we can be.
It's a story of survival, about what the human body and mind can do to protect itself from an unbelievable, impossible situation, and how resourceful we can all be.
Well, look, the show I saw did not leave me hopeful. That's always tough. You go through, you watch this beautiful thing, but you don't leave hopeful.
Well,
you leave kind of like frustrated, reminded, like all those things.
But that's often the intent of good art.
Yeah,
is to make us think and not take anything for granted, or not to make too many assumptions about life.
Yeah,
and if we want the things in our life that we want, and the promise for ourselves and for our family and for our children, you got to fight for it. Sometimes you literally got to get involved. You got to stand up and make your point. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned this story. What was the performance you saw?
It's called Parade.
Parade. And it's about a wrongly accused man in the South.
Yep.
And how if we don't speak up,
this is what can happen. This is what can happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, but next year I have a musical coming out. I can't even believe I'm saying it. It's going to be officially announced tomorrow at the Seattle Public Theater season announcement.
When you say you have a musical, what do you mean?
I wrote the book.
You wrote a book?
Yeah, well, not the book of the music. Co-writer of the musical.
Okay.
Yeah, so I worked with the composer. And so it'll come out in May of 2026. That'll be part of the season announcement. Can you believe it? I cannot believe I've been working on this for 2 years.
Oh, that's beautiful.
2 years. Crazy.
I love it. Well done. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks for
excited.
burying the lead. Your musical comes out next year. All right, when we come back, it's the Jake and Spike Show with Angela Poe Russell. We'll talk a little bit about your money, about your finances. Are you the only one who feels broke these days?
And there's a condition. There's a legitimate condition, right?
About worrying about finances, about your perception?
Yes, money,
dysmorphia.
Dysmorphia. It is a condition,
Money
y'all.
dysmorphia? I've heard of body dysmorphia.
Money, right. This is similar, except it's money. And listen, this has changed my perspective on everything.
Oh, beautiful. I can't wait to hear more. We'll be right back after these.
Start having fun. Caesar Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino Resort is your #1 place to eat, drink, watch, and have fun. Keep up with your favorite sports anywhere and everywhere on property with the mobile app. Visit muckleshootcasino.com today. Scan the QR code and let the play begin.
Muckleshoot. The preseason AC sale is on now at Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. This month only, keep your home cool and your wallet comfortable with 15% off. Plus, free financing on all air conditioners, heat pumps, and ductless systems. Trust the team voted best in the Pacific Northwest and call Bob's today for your free estimate. Hurry, the discount reduces to 10% off in May. Call Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning today.
Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. Call Bob.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, I'm Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft, and we've got an offer you're not going to want to wait for. We'll custom build you all new cabinet doors and drawer fronts, and using our exclusive 1/4-inch solid wood refacing process, transform your existing cabinets into a beautiful new kitchen. Stop waiting. We're having a trade-in sale. You'll save $30 per door and drawer front off the cost of your new kitchen. Count them up and see how much you'll save. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Cyber criminals are finding new ways to use AI to scam you. Microsoft's latest Cyber Signals report shares tips to avoid scams.
Fake job listings and phony e-commerce sites are rising as fraudsters use AI to create fake websites and customer service chatbots. Beware of jobs requiring upfront payments, unrealistic salaries, or no experience required remote positions. When shopping online, watch for limited time deals and overly positive repetitive reviews, and make sure to always use secure payments.
How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your team and focus on your future. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Join in on the conversation by sending a text to 888-973-5476. That's 888-973-KIRO.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed the musty smell in your home? I hope not, because damp smells mean that you could have a crawl space problem. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your crawl space and get to the root cause of the problem. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Linda Kenyon. Police say at least 2 people, none of them students, have been killed in a shooting at Florida State University. At least 5 other people injured. Jason Trumbauer is the chief of police.
FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter.
Leon County Sheriff Walt McNeil says the 20-year-old suspect, believed to be a student at FSU, was a sheriff's deputy's son. A service revolver was found at the scene.
The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family.
This student describes a chaotic scene as the shots rang out.
We got the desks and started piling them up against the door. It was pretty hectic.
The suspect is in custody and is hospitalized. Several buildings on campus remain an active crime scene. The Supreme Court agrees to hear arguments next month over President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. Loyola law professor Lori Levinson.
It's not necessarily a good sign for the Trump administration. So far, every court that has decided this issue has relied on the 14th Amendment to say that the executive order by President Trump saying that there's no birthright citizenship is wrong.
The president's executive order would limit birthright citizenship for children whose parents are in the U.S. illegally or on temporary visas. Google plans to appeal a ruling that states it is an online advertising monopoly. CBS Tech contributor Ian Scher.
The ruling is the latest example of how governments around the world are increasingly scrutinizing the tech industry and its massive power in the economy.
The Trump administration continues to defy judges' orders on deportations. CBS's Stacey Lynn reports.
In a scathing ruling today, an appeals court calls the defiance shocking. Yesterday, a federal judge ruled there is probable cause to find the administration in criminal contempt after the president refused to turn around deportation planes to El Salvador and says he'll continue to do so.
That's what the public wanted, and that's what I'm doing. But you have to speak to the lawyers because it's up to them.
He also says he has no intention of facilitating the return of a Maryland man wrongly deported. Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
A judge has paused a resentencing hearing for Eric and Lyle Menendez. Their attorney is appalled.
I do, however, think that it's appalling, for lack of a better term, how the DA has treated this case.
This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
Coming up, victims of a former Sumner basketball coach speak out at his sentencing. We'll get to that story after we go to the Beacon Plumbing traffic desk. This report brought to you by Wilcox Family Farm Eggs. We are all clear on northbound I-5. At Albro Place, that's where a crash was blocking the right lane, starting to see things smooth out into downtown Seattle. Linwood to Seattle, meantime, on southbound I-5, taking you about 40 minutes. Heading up north into Everett, it's about a 50-minute drive from Seattle or Bellevue. Heads up that we do have some crews working on the ramps in the area of eastbound SR-18. That's between Auburn and Maple Valley. Tacoma to Olympia, 45 minutes with some slowdowns past JBLM, and on the Valley Freeway, about a 50-minute drive now from Renton to Puyallup. Fresh food comes from local farms. For healthier eggs with 3 times the omega-3s, choose Wilcox Omega-3 Eggs at Costco, locally fresh since 1909.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. A former Sumner High School basketball coach is sentenced to 40 years in prison. Jacob Jackson was found guilty of sexually abusing 8 players between 2016 and 2022. KIRO 7 TV was in court when one of his victims spoke before sentencing.
Trust has become a concept that is not within my reach, altering the way I see the world and even the way I see myself.
More from KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey.
4 decades behind bars for the one-time high school basketball coach turned convicted sex offender who preyed on 8 of his former players, the youngest just 14 years old. Prosecutors say he used his role to lure players to perform sexual acts and talk them into sending him inappropriate photos and messages. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
Man and a woman plead not guilty today to hate crime charges after being accused of harassing patrons at the Pony Bar on Capitol Hill. Police say they yelled anti-gay and anti-transgender slurs and even shot water pellets at people gathered outside the bar back in February. A third juvenile suspect will be in court next week. Seattle police have arrested a man armed with a knife on Alki Beach. They say he was harassing 3 teenage girls. More from KIRO News Radio's James Lynch.
It happened Wednesday morning just after 6 o'clock. Police say the 3 girls were walking near the beach when the man approached, made sexual threats, and talked about the devil. Here's Detective Eric Munoz with the Seattle Police Department.
Obviously, these were 3 young teenage girls. This man was armed with a knife. He was saying very disturbing, very heinous things, and that's just not okay.
Police say the 30-year-old suspect was arrested with a large fixed-blade knife. He's expected to be charged with malicious harassment. James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
Mariners win big in Cincinnati, coming back in the 9th inning with back-to-back home runs by Cal Raleigh and
Randy Arozarena with a line shot home run. Back-to-backers by Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena. We are tied at 7.
Ems would go on to win it in extra innings, 11-7. Raleigh now has 6 home runs in 6 games. Keep swinging that torpedo bat. Your weather update now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. We have more sunshine today and tomorrow. Much warmer weather, highs topping out in the low 70s for Friday. Right now, 63 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO Newsradio App. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm Spike O'Neill with Angela Poe Russell. It's the Jake and Spike Show. I want to start this segment off by trying to not be that guy. Trying not to be the kids these days, the old man, get off my lawn guy. When I was a kid, going to live music performances, going to concerts, going to festivals, going to big rock shows was everything for my older brother and I. We stopped at nothing to go see our favorite bands perform. We traveled to other states when we were just teenagers. Mm-hmm. We hitchhiked from Baltimore to New Jersey to see the Rolling Stones. We went to North Carolina to see Bruce Springsteen in the back of an open dump truck with 8 other guys in February. We almost died. So when I say these kids going to Coachella on a payment plan are idiots, I don't want to be that guy. I remember how important music was and experiences was and live events were to me as a young person, as a kid. Even as
and
a
you don't
young
know
man.
when your favorite artist is coming back.
Especially when your favorite artist is 78 like mine. I'm never going to,
I still regret to this day not going to see Prince.
I mean,
still regret to this day. So I actually think this whole payment plan, it's better than a credit card. Right? Where you have to put it on your credit card and pay interest?
Yeah. We're talking about Coachella.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Listen, because I want you to make your point. Coachella is the biggest musical event of the year to the people who love that kind of music. For me, it's not my cup of tea, but I get it. Now I am that guy. But it was so expensive that more than half the attendees at Coachella took advantage of a payment plan offered by the concert itself, by the event itself, for tickets and the ancillary things that go with going to a show, whether it's food at the show or whatever it might be. And you could literally set up a payment plan to go have this weekend experience, maybe this once-in-a-lifetime experience, to see your hero up on stage at Coachella.
And apparently 60% of participants took advantage of the payment plan. Laura, is this something you would consider doing?
Yes, just to spread it out a little bit more. And again, like you said, much better than a credit card where I have to pay interest, right? If I'm paying a small fee every month, it's almost like auto budgeting for me, right?
Yeah, and there are those people who feel like if you can't afford to go, don't go. But to this point about this payment plan, there's a flat one-time fee to take advantage of this payment plan from Coachella. It's not an interest-based where it's not like credit card debt. It's a much softer, to buy in to do this. And you get to and if you can budget for something after the fact, as easy as you could budget for something before the event, there's not a lot of difference there in my mind. If you still are accountable and responsible and make the payments, and it's the reason you don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime experience, I can't knock it too bad.
Here's the only thing I struggle with. If everyone just stood up and said, you know what, we can't afford to go to this, the organizers would have to lower the prices. As soon as you start offering a payment plan, then they could say, we can bump it up and people can just spread it out. That's the only thing. And I worry that that's how the whole college thing got out of control.
Oh, I was about to say the exact
that's how it got out of control. People couldn't afford it. So, we can have them just do student loans. Oh, yeah, and they'll make up for it later in life. So let's charge this.
Well, we're going to earn that money with a degree.
That's the only thing I worry about. What do you think about that?
That's a great point of view because you're right. If people couldn't afford to go, they'd adjust the payment they wouldn't have the event. If enough people couldn't afford to go. That's a genuine concern to have. I mean, tickets to the event. Okay, what did Coachella tickets go for? on average.
I think they're like, were they like $200 some dollars? 200?
It's way more than that.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Usually
a 3 day was
$650.
a 3 day was $550 or $550 plus $50 in fees. So $600 for the 3 day ticket. Shuttles to and from the event, which you can't get in without because it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's in Coachella. $150 for the shuttles. Hotel package, add another $1,000 to the thing. A food and drink package, like you get on a cruise ship, a few hundred more to the bill. So all of a sudden, you're up around $2,000 to go to this 3 day festival. And, if you can get it on a payment plan and knock it off in a couple months, pay it back.
And you still have your pictures and the memories.
And memories of a lifetime.
But it's funny because someone texted in, Jamestown said, festivals now have payment plans. No.
Well,
I couldn't. Here's the thing. I could have used this in college. I looked into going to Coachella because I went to college in California. And when all was said and done, I would have spent $1,200 for 3 days. And I backed out. I just decided that wasn't worth it. And I regret backing out because how many times are you, 20 years old and you're living in California and you can drive with your friends to a big music, like it would have been such a fun experience. But at the time I was like $1,200 for 3, like the math wasn't mathing.
Yeah. So a payment plan, you would have been able to maybe.
I totally would have used a payment plan in college.
Well, let me speak to the other old men in the audience like myself, okay? It's not just for concerts. Maybe it's the Super Bowl. Maybe your team makes the Super Bowl and you wanted to go to a Super Bowl, but it's tickets to the game, airfare, hotels, all the things that happen. Would you put a plan together to make the once-in-a-lifetime trip to see your team in the Super Bowl or go to the Olympics? Maybe you want to go to the Olympics in another country and experience an Olympic moment in a foreign country that you'll never have the chance get a chance to see. Maybe you've got a family member who's competing in the Olympics, and you get this opportunity to go and do that.
I mean, I've done it on credit card.
And this is a better option.
You know what I mean? So I've done it. Yeah. It's almost like it's a very old-fashioned way, like layaway. And you had to, back in the day of layaway, and you purchase the item, but they keep it until you come pay it off.
My parents used to shop my parents shopped for Christmas at Sears. When the Sears Christmas catalog came out, that was it. We'd go, Santa shops at Sears, buddy. So anything you want for Christmas, take a look through the catalog. Go do your Christmas wish list out of the Sears Christmas wish catalog, because my parents have been laying away money at Sears since January. We didn't know. We were little kids. We didn't care, but my mom and dad knew. They'd start putting this layaway account together to prep for Christmas, and that's
awesome.
how it happened.
I love it. Amazon has brought the whole catalog thing back. Every Christmas, they send you an actual physical. I got a physical book of like the best holiday things, and
I love paper as opposed to the screen in front of me.
Me too.
I can't.
It's a really cool, all the bright pictures I just don't want them using AI models. Have you seen this whole thing about using AI? Like, don't take the models. Basically, instead of having a real, like hiring you to pose for GQ
in clothing, yeah.
Then they would instead do an AI.
Well,
and so then they don't need models. They just use the AI version. Isn't that scary?
Can you imagine a world, though, where a company would take on the additional expense to use human models and pay for a photo shoot where they can just open a computer app and make it all? I mean, I can't imagine how we're not going there. I didn't realize it was happening, but it may be modeling may be a thing of the past. At least in catalogs, I can't imagine holograms walking down the runway in Paris.
Right. I don't know how we went from layaway to AI models, but somehow I think
I wrecked your Christmas. No, not at all.
Is this when we get to talk about? Oh, I'll let you drive. Go ahead. You drive.
What do you want to do?
I want to talk about this money dysmorphia.
That's where I was going next too. Great minds.
Yeah, you want to set us up?
Sure.
Okay.
So there's an article in the New York Times about money dysphoria, and what it speaks to is how we perceive our own financial situations. Do we think is there such an air of doom and pessimism, especially with the younger generation, Gen Z, that they'll never be, my oldest is getting married in a week, but she and her fiance feel like they'll never be able to afford a home. How can they afford to raise children in this world today? Everything is so expensive. Kids in the younger generation look at the world and think they will never be financially solvent, and it taints is the right word, or it prejudices every purchase they make with regard to, do we go see this concert event? Do we my kids were like, can we afford to go on a honeymoon? This is your wedding day. But can they afford to do? Can they take on debt? Should they be saving for a home? Should they?
And what this article is saying is that, like kind of Laura said, the math ain't math, and in the sense that the numbers don't line up with how people are feeling. So basically, they're saying they're broke, but if you look at the numbers, they're saying you're actually not as bad off as you think. That's the whole definition of money. How did I say it? Money dysmorphia.
Yeah.
So you don't believe you have enough. And I'll give you an example. I was explaining how someone I knew, they made a lot of money, they had saved a lot of money, and they just wouldn't retire because in their mind, they didn't have enough. But if 95% of you were looking at this person's finances, you'd be like, dude, you need to go retire and get your beach house. But in their mind, they're broke.
It's never going to be enough.
I had a person in a financial aid department say that he's had people like say they really need financial aid while they talk about their second home. And so that is a form of there's a disconnect between what you think you're broke, maybe because of the circles that you're in.
Right.
But then the numbers do not show that you're broke. Do you see what Laura, she's looking up like, is anyone picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a little bit deeper than just saying, oh, you're not grateful for what you have.
Of course.
I think part of it is the comparison game, keeping up with the Joneses, right? And social media, this article points out, makes it worse. You see people showing the best parts of their lives. You honestly have no idea if they're in massive credit card debt or if they used a payment plan to go to Coachella. All you see is other people doing something that you can't do.
That's it. That's exact. And I feel like this whole condition explained everything to me, like why the person who could retire, the people. I'll never forget this guy. He was a boss. He was actually my boss. And so it's been many years, and he's out of the business, so I can talk about the boss now. So this guy, we were in the middle of the 2008 housing crash.
Right, the Great Recession.
And so it was big recession. So he said, oh, everybody, we're going to have to cut back. And he's like, so you know what? Instead of the $4,000 suit, I'm going to have to settle for the $1,000 one. And he said it with a straight face.
Yeah.
And so
he like a tear down his cheek, probably.
In his mind, though, because of the world he was living in,
right,
it felt like he was broke. And so my point is, you could be a person making minimum wage but let's not go there. Let's say you're just a basic middle class person. You do enough to get by, and you're like, you know what, I'm pretty broke. Well, to someone else who, let's say is worse off, they'll look at you and say, no, you look fine. You get what I'm waiting. I think it's
my wife and I haven't been out to dinner in a month. You ate 3 times every day, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
And we haven't been on vacation. Yeah, but you sleep in a secure, warm, dry home every night, don't you?
Yeah.
It's all perspective.
And it's not a great, to Laura's point, it's not a grateful thing. It's about how we can, because body dysmorphia is when you think that you're fat, right? But you're thin, or you think, it's a disconnect from reality.
Yes.
And so who you're around, the social media, can all impact our view of our finances.
And when Laura, you mentioned social media, this unrealistic expectation of this false life people present this is who I am. I'm always on vacation. I'm always having drinks. I'm always dining out at a dimly lit steakhouse. I'm always at a beach next to a pool with a different bikini on or whatever it might be.
Well, and it aggregates too, right?
Yes.
It might be one person did one thing that was big for them that year, but you're seeing everyone post their one vacation.
Their highlight reel.
So it's constant that you're seeing, oh, everyone's on vacation,
All the time. Everybody live in this highlight reel, and I got home and I'm eating top ramen 3 nights a week, and I can barely afford to go out. I haven't, done all these things I wanted. I haven't traveled in 2 years. I'm broke. But, again, you're comfortable. You're safe. You're fed. You're healthy. You've got medical coverage, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
We traveled. I got to travel on 5 different continents with the group World Vision.
Oh, you
as
did?
Part of our radio, as part of my radio life. Yes.
It's amazing.
And you get to see abject poverty in Bangladesh, the most impoverished places on earth. You get to go to Zambia and see a 16-person family living in 2 rooms, and they're thrilled because they're together, they're healthy, and they've got a well now. And it's a matter of perspective, of thinking, how can these people who literally have nothing, one set of clothing for each member of the family, and that's it.
Yeah.
And they're happy because they're healthy and they're together and they know what's important in life.
Yep.
And we would come back from these trips abroad, whether it was up on the Amazon River for a week on a medical boat, or in Zambia, or in Bangladesh, or the Dominican Republic, or wherever else that we got the opportunity to go see these different lives in these different environments. We would come back, and World Vision would say to us, look, you're going to come back with guilt and the sense that you're, how can I have this much stuff? Because people have come back and just given away everything. They've purged themselves of these first world luxuries. He goes, don't do that. It's not your fault you were born in the luckiest, richest country in the world. You were born here. It's not. There's nothing wrong with that. Just go into the world knowing that there are people who make do with less and are happy to have just each other and health.
And you know what just hit me when you said that, because that experience gave you perspective.
Yeah, it's
me being a journalist gave me a perspective, but sometimes my kids, because we're cutting back on things or whatever, they'll be like, oh, we're broke. We're just broke. And they have no clue what broke is. So that's what this whole article talks about, is this feeling of being like cutting back on lattes is not broke. It just means you're choosing. It means you're
realism.
Cutting back.
Yeah.
And you're choosing to put more of your money in savings, or you're choosing to pay the light bill, pay your rent. We're just not doing as many lattes. But the kids will be like, "Oh, we're broke."
We're broke.
I'm like, stop saying that. We're not broke.
What do you mean you can't? I can't get a new pair of whatever, kiddo. I got to do this trip on, I think, 6 different times. I got to travel abroad with World Vision, and the last time I got to take my oldest daughter to Africa for a week.
Wow.
And the kid was at the time living in New York, going to a nice college in New York. And actually at that point she was graduated college, living independently in New York, but complained about everything. I love my daughter, Ryan. I love my kid, but complained about everything in their early 20s. That's what you do, and then traveled to Africa and saw what those people who literally were living with the bare minimum of human survival, but were happy and content and appreciative of what they had. It changed everything about my kid's life. I used to get these emails, Dad, none of the other roommates will buy toilet paper. These first world problems. And that's a cliche first world
But
problems.
I get
the
your point.
cable's out. The cable's out. How's the heat working? How's the plumbing? And that sense of perspective, my kid changed my child.
Yeah.
Was the greatest gift I ever gave my kid, was the ability to see life outside of the life and the life that you live every day, and the sense of your perspective about, I can't afford to go here. I'm broke. I can't afford a latte.
That was the greatest gift you feel like you gave
Absolutely
your kid.
was the sense of seeing the world, what the rest of the world is like. And then when you come home to your apartment in Brooklyn and we're able to take a subway, not even that, able to turn on the faucet and get clean, safe water every day. Not that, I don't want to be that guy again, but it's about perspective. And, this financial dysmorphia where people don't really, and I have the opposite. I look at, I've got enough money to do that.
So you start doing everything.
I start doing everything, it's like, well, and the truly unpleasant business is like, wait a minute there, big dog. Hold, slow it down, reel it in.
Gary or Bubba said, I'm broke. It's like Dante's Inferno. Instead of levels of hell, it's levels of brokenness.
And that's true for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Everyone's dealing with their own challenges on a daily basis, whether they're financial or career or whatever.
But I think there's specific. But I do think there are people that have it. You know what? It's almost like this wealth tax that comes up. And okay, I'm not trying to get too political.
No, I hear you.
But if they're talking about only taxing, let's say it's 3% on over $50 million.
Right.
And they're freaking out.
Yeah.
Is that money dysmorphic? Like, you're really going to be fine. Like, if they tax you 3% on your asset over $50 million, I promise you're going to be. I'm not saying I'm advocating for it.
I hear you.
I'm just telling that person that's freaking out that you're going to be fine.
What if we just don't tell them? Because they'll never know. It's not they're going to miss it.
They'll know, because what I've found is rich people are the bean counters.
Watch every penny. Rich people, Crazy Rich Asians? Nobody likes free stuff more than rich people. True words were never spoken. All right, it's the Jack and Spike. Excuse me, sorry, it's the Jake and Spike Show. Yeah, catch that very much. Angela Poe Russell. I wanted to make sure I got your name right. Who cares about the rest of us? When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about. It's funny, empty nesting. Because the truly unpleasant Mrs. O'Neill and I have our youngest off to college, and we literally live in 2 people in a 3,800 square foot home. We have to text each other what you want for dinner in my house.
But you're smiling when you say it.
Are we happier, though, being empty nesters? We'll talk about that when we come back. This hour is brought to you by Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through April 21st, new customers can get started with 150 megabit internet and security edge for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying internet package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. Early termination fee applies.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hi, it's John Curley. You know, I've been a patient of Longevity Medical Clinic since 2009, and Longevity Medical Clinic has been helping people live longer, healthier lives for more than 25 years. You know what's amazing, Doctor? The feelings that you have after just a couple of months. You sleep better. Your strength and vitality, it is evident that it works. It's really a mindset, though, Dr. Mixon, because a lot of people, well, this is what's supposed to happen.
Let us help you be stronger, faster, leaner, smarter, sexier, but most important, happier. I'm less impressed by how many years I might live, but how much I live during my years. You know, the option is here. Nobody's going to make you go to longevity. But the opportunity is there, and all you have to do is take advantage of it. I don't know why anybody would not want to do what we do.
And that's where Longevity Medical Clinic comes in. So get your free health analysis. Go to longevitymedicalclinic.com. That's longevitymedicalclinic.com.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s. And less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
You've seen the headlines. Budget crisis, government emergency, billions of dollars short. No, not the federal government. It's happening here in Washington state. State tax revenues are at record highs. Over the next 4 years, tax revenue is on pace to grow by $10 billion. But current spending will outpace that revenue growth by $12 billion. Want to learn more about the growth of state taxes and spending over the last decade? Visit budgetbreakdown.org.
The preseason AC sale is on now at Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. This month only, keep your home cool and your wallet comfortable with 15% off. Plus, free financing on all air conditioners, heat pumps, and ductless systems. Trust the team voted best in the Pacific Northwest and call Bob's today for your free estimate. Hurry, the discount reduces to 10% off in May. Call Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning today.
Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. Call Bob.
This week at Jazz Alley, join Madeline Peru on her Let's Walk tour, April 17th through 20th. With her honeyed voice and mix of jazz, folk, and pop, Madeline's music is a journey for the soul. Get your tickets at jazzalley.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. At least 2 people were killed, 6 more wounded at Florida State University, where investigators say a 20-year-old student opened fire. Leon County Sheriff Walter McNeil says the alleged shooter is the son of one of his deputies.
Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene.
He says the suspect began shooting inside the Student Union building. The 2 people killed in the attack were not students. A Washington state challenge to President Trump's order ending birthright citizenship is now heading to the U.S. Supreme Court. KIRO News Radio's Heather Bosch explains.
Washington led other states in filing suit to stop President Trump's order that would end the practice of granting babies born in the U.S. automatic citizenship regardless of their parents' status, as noted in the 14th Amendment. Attorney General Nick Brown.
If we want to make that policy change, then we should have a debate and not simply have a purported king signing executive orders.
A federal judge in Seattle and others have blocked Trump's executive order from taking effect. The U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments on the matter May 15th. Heather Bosch, KIRO News Radio.
Washington Supreme Court today blocked an initiative on homeless camps in Spokane. KIRO News Radio's Matt Markovich explains.
The Hansen Initiative, as it was called, would have prevented people from street camping in Spokane, even if there was no room at the city's homeless shelters. In a 6-2 decision, the majority of justices ruled voters could not use the ballot box to rewrite the city's rules on homeless encampments. The court said it wasn't a case of people making law, rather the people trying to play city manager, which the court said was an overstep. Matt Markovich, KIRO News Radio.
The NBA commissioner hints at a timeline on when the league would consider expansion. Adam Silver today said a formal process could start this summer, and Seattle is on the short list.
There's no doubt that there continues to be enormous passion in that market for the NBA.
Silver was speaking to the Pat McAfee Show on ESPN today. Now to the Beacon Plumbing traffic desk, and the map right now, right about average for this time of day, but starting to see some traffic times build with a 1-hour drive now from Renton to Puyallup. Some traffic between Auburn and Sumner. Bellevue to Renton, meantime, about 35 minutes. It is heavy at the I-90 merge. Tacoma to Olympia, 45 minutes with some slowdowns past JBLM. Heading north into Everett, about a 40 to 45-minute drive from Seattle or Bellevue. Linwood to Seattle, 43 minutes. And give some room for work crews on eastbound SR 18. They are doing some road work on the ramps in the area between Auburn and Maple Valley. The support is brought to you by Home Comfort Alliance. Upgrade now with incredible savings on ultra-efficient heat pumps. Get up to $6,000 in rebates, plus save 10% on heat pumps through April. Call Home Comfort Alliance or visit homecomfortalliance.com. Weather now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunny skies today, staying warm with highs in the upper 60s today. Right now, 64 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Spike O'Neill. I'm with Angela Poe Russell in for Jake Skorheim.
I had a great time and spending time with you all. And can I just say one thing? I got a text from my daughter.
Okay.
And she said I said something incorrectly.
Oh, well,
and I'm a big fan. I do not like I value getting facts straight.
Okay.
And so she's like, be careful how you describe body dysmorphic disorder.
Okay.
And I did not explain it properly. So it's actually a condition which you have a perceived defect that you are very focused in on that maybe others don't see or not a big deal. And so it's not just one area. So I just wanted to apologize because, I love kids, don't we? I think it's a perfect transition to
really is.
the next topic.
Oh, well done. So how many children do you have?
I have two. Well, two biological, and then I got remarried, and so two bonus sons.
Okay.
As well.
Nicely done. I have two as well. And, it's funny. My daughter is getting married in little less than 2 weeks.
Yay.
So it's been very much a time of reflection as these months go. A year and a half ago when this whole odyssey began, to more recently, it's become accelerated, the amount of reflection I've done about parenting and about what it means to be a parent and how much it's made my life better. And, I mentioned that the greatest gift I ever gave my child was the perspective of seeing life in another world, literally another continent with another culture and civilization. But the greatest gift I ever got was from my kid, was being a dad. And, we are now, Melissa and I, Mrs. O'Neill and I we're kind of empty nesters. My youngest is off at college. When I say off at college, they go to college right here in town. Mm-hmm. So they and their dirty laundry are home every weekend. My oldest and her fiance both live here in Seattle, so we see them not often enough. But, we know what it's like now to be empty in the house, to be just the two of us and, plan accordingly and not have, a lot of running around and chauffeuring and all the things that come with having kids in the house. And the question that was asked is, are parents happier when their kids move out? And Laura, I think you have a psychologist?
Yeah, so there's a psychologist, Dan Gilbert, who made this pitch on a podcast recently and says the data supports it.
The best data suggests happiness increases when the kids leave home and the dog dies. Ouch. You go to some parents and you go, do children make you happy? And parents will say, oh, of course they do. They make me happier than anything else. We know from tons of data that those parents are wrong. That children, in fact, have a small but negative impact on the happiness of their parents. But their parents don't know it. There may be many reasons to have children, but making yourself more happy in the moment is not one of them.
Wow.
That was cold, wasn't it?
From the Misery Institute.
Took a shot at the dog.
He's in the dog too.
Literally, yeah.
Wow. I don't know if I've ever disagreed with somebody more than, and I don't know, maybe.
Disagree. Okay. This makes me nervous because I'm going to be an empty nester in a year. Oh, Lord. Okay, in a year.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, there are benefits of being just the two of the missus and I at home. They're, cool. They, I get a little more free time than I used to have. But my love language is cooking for the family, and chauffeuring the kid. I love that stuff.
Acts of service.
Yeah, it is. Acts of service is my love language. So and that's diminished with the kid out of the house. So am I happier? I don't think I am.
No.
With the kid gone.
I was hoping you would tell me, yeah, Angela, it's going to be great. You're going to party like it's 1999 and everything.
Well,
and that's
we
not
we
it.
did that when our kids lived there. So what?
Okay. So just I want to hear what else you have to say. But those of you who have had kids leave and you're an empty nester, are you happy? Or how are you doing? I mean, you can be honest. Just tell me.
Yeah.
Don't 888-973. 5476 888-973-5476. But have you been able to find happiness with them gone?
When I moved to the West Coast and then my brother moved to the West Coast, my folks were alone in Florida. And they weren't, that's different, I guess. But, there's nothing like family being around. Whether, we came from Baltimore where everybody lived within 3 streets of each other. All my aunts and uncles and my grandparents. Nobody moved. That was a very East Coast thing. You live, you grow old, you marry the neighbor's daughter, whatever, and we're all very, very close. We're always on top of each other. Every Sunday evening, we're all at my grandmother's house. Every backyard barbecue, I had all my aunts and uncles and all my cousins, and that was what it was. But, but when the kids are up and out of the house and it's you and the missus, yeah, there's stuff you can do. My wife and I both have motorcycles. We go on rides, bada 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 bing. But the sum total, I should say, of not having the kid in your life, and again, we have them come around so often. It's not like we're just the two of us and nothing else. Maybe that's different for folks. And again, it's everybody has their own recipe for happiness. We had a story a couple of weeks ago about, how much money it takes to be happy. And again, to our earlier question about financial dysmorphia, it's a matter of perspective. What makes you happy is what matters and what's important to you. Is it time to focus on maybe just focusing on your partner once your kids are gone, and rekindling or
rekindling is the word. Rekindling, discovering. I think all of that is accurate.
Yeah, I mean, and there's true value to that.
Do you
and there's
know,
true happiness to
they
that.
say the most vulnerable time in a marriage is after the kids leave. Because
why is that?
They say it's because oftentimes couples have spent so many years focused on their kids
and not each other.
Yeah. And so they haven't done the dating. They haven't, and so all of a sudden the kids aren't there. It's been 20 years.
Yeah, and here's somebody that you really don't really know anymore.
And then you've grown, and so they say it's a vulnerable time.
And maybe that
y'all aren't making me feel better.
Maybe that makes some people happier. I don't know. That's the thing. What makes one person happier doesn't make another person happy.
That's a good point, because I enjoy
Who is this doctor whatever?
I enjoy going to the PTA meetings. I enjoy being on the school board. I enjoy all of that. I have done all the things. I enjoyed the soccer tournaments. I enjoy hosting the team. I enjoy all of it.
Yeah, the community involved. Yeah.
So I'm going to have to put that energy. I don't know if it's volunteering, helping other kids. It's got to go. I mean, husband will get some attention, of course, but 24 hours in a day, y'all.
Yeah. And no disrespect to psychologist Dan Gilbert, but I'd like to know who he interviewed.
Okay, Laura, aren't you in contact with your mom? Can you text her? Would she be honest with you? Be honest, Mom.
Are you happier as an empty nester?
Yeah.
I'll ask.
All right, 206 says, heck
Laughing
yes.
till I cry emoji comes back.
206 says, heck yes, house is clean, no coming and going all hours.
And that's cool. I'm sure that there's a certain section of our lives and our cultures that's all you want is to put your feet up, exhale, watch whatever you want on TV for a while, order food, have it delivered.
Where did the time go? That's what I want to know. Where did the time go with the kids? I love how one person put it. They were like, we started late, so we're 60 years old and have a 4-year-old. So I should tell my husband, let's just start again.
Well, good for you. But I got to warn you, raising kids is a young person's game.
Yeah,
trust me when I tell
true.
You. When we come back, we'll have the best of you. If you've been wonderfully interactive with the show today, we appreciate that. We always do. And we'll have the best of your texts on the various subjects we covered throughout the show. Coming up right after these, Angela Poe Russell in for me and with me for Jake Skorheim. Yeah, buddy. We'll be right back.
KIRO News Radio, your home for the John Curley Show. Weekdays from 3 to 7 p.m.
The economy is like a machine. You have two levers. You can push the lever forward, you can make money cheap, and then people buy and they invest. Then the economy really starts cooking. Well, it starts cooking so much inflation can come in there as well. You pull that lever back, and now you increase the cost to borrow, which slows the economy down, and it just basically puts the brakes on everything.
Streaming live on your smart speaker.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Announcing the Million Hour Volunteer Rally. G here, join me, Safeway and Albertsons, and donate your time and skills to support local food banks and host food drives or fundraisers. You can win free groceries for a year and a $5,000 donation to your favorite hunger relief agency. Visit Albertsons.com/volunteer to learn more. Find volunteer opportunities and log your hours. 1 million hours will help create food secure communities. Visit Albertsons.com/volunteer.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Hey, it's John Curley with Dr. Kopstein from K2 Vision RLE. Doc, I heard that 50% of Americans have their lenses replaced by the time they're 75.
That's exactly right, John. As we near 50, our eye's natural lens starts to become dysfunctional. If you've now added readers to your need for glasses and contacts, it's a sign the quality and function of your natural lens is fading, and it's a steady decline towards cataracts.
Don't go another 20 plus years with poor vision, hassling with contacts and readers. Do what I did. Choose a quick, painless refractive lens exchange from K2 Vision RLE and start enjoying great vision now.
Our new lens technology is truly amazing. After replacing over 100,000 lenses, we have the experience to guide each patient to their best solution, even if that's recommending you wait a little while before RLE.
K2 Vision RLE can restore distance and near vision permanently, plus never develop a cataract. Read the reviews and schedule a free Zoom consultation now at k2visionrle.com.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
Steel, walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
Charlie Harger here. When your hot turns to cold, you better think fast. Fast water heater. Call 1-800-THINK-FAST. That's 1-800-THINK-FAST or fastwaterheater.com.
You better think fast. Fast water heater. Cold is leaking and rocks are moving and mold is creeping and water seeping in. It's hard to be a homeowner, we know.
Without American Crawl Space and Pest Services, it is hard to be a homeowner. Dave Ross here. American Crawl are the heroes to call for insulation and pest issues because in addition to their great reviews and decades of experience, they also give out the most PSE insulation rebates of any insulation company in the state.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Get your free inspection at AmericanCrawl.com.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We appreciate you guys giving us a little portion of your life and your day. Angela, thank you so much for filling in today. I had an absolutely
Thank you for
wonderful
having me. This was great.
I'm glad you had fun. Laura, would you start us off with our text from our audience, please?
Sure thing. On Trump's trade war and increasing manufacturing in the USA, Cletus in Federal Way says thousands of small businesses will go out of business in the next year.
202 says, with a 4% unemployment rate, where do we find the employees, especially with a closed border? It's a very fair question.
Okay. All right. So I was reading another thing. Can we go to hacked crosswalks?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. We were talking about that. Cliff and Woodinville, another way to peacefully protest with a laugh emoji.
I like that.
And Jamestown says, I would love it if they said, hey, dummy, look up. Yoo-hoo, pedestrian, time to walk. Don't forget to look both ways. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
That was perfect. And with your voice, it was even better.
You should get into
Just
the
copy-paste that, people, into the district.
On the AI takeover, Theo says, shout out to me and my septic tank workers. Ain't no way people are getting rid of us with AI.
Oh, gosh. And when you were talking about just the whole idea of bringing manufacturing back, Goodfellas acknowledged your brilliant phrase. So he says, thanks, Spike, for the new phrase, make America sweat again.
Thank you very much.
On unlawful deportations, Mike and Stanwood says the U.S. suspends the rule of law during episodes of hysteria. The hunt for communists in the late 40s and 50s denied many individuals due process. Was the first time, and this witch hunt won't be the last.
206, plain and simple, illegal aliens have no rights because they're not Americans, period. Well, I would suggest 206, read the Constitution, because the Constitution applies to all people in the U.S., not just with regard to various individual situations. It's not just U.S. citizens.
It's true. Yeah, if you're here, you have to have the Yep, that is very true.
Thank you.
Joe in the 253 says, it's simple. Be here in accordance with the law. If not, you're gone. Using the argument that the only crime they committed was entering the country is just pretending that the law doesn't matter. But the law does matter. Do it right or not at all.
On the idea to unchain the beer gardens, 206 says open container laws work for Las Vegas and New Orleans too, right?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Let me see. Ed in Kirkland says, HB 1515, no, the state keeps legalizing and Seattle will not prosecute illegal activities. People will be out of control. It's a bad idea. Our bartenders on the hook for liability. These are all fair questions.
Fair questions, yeah. And on the other hand, Warren in Tacoma says, I don't like that current laws exclude children from being able to go with the adults in the beer garden. He has to leave kids outside with his wife while he goes into the beer garden, or she goes and I sit outside with the kids. That's stupid. And a restaurant, I can order a beer or wine at dinner with my kids present. I should be able to do the same in public.
Well, we should just tie our kid off to the post. You know, and going to the beer garden.
Little bowl of water.
Yeah, a little bowl of water. Yeah, shade if it was sunny.
That's funny.
So on theaters playing right now in Seattle, John in Snohomish says, we saw Life of Pi last night, and we did leave after the first intermission. I could have lived without seeing the zebra's guts as it got ripped apart. It was very theatrical, but we do love Broadway, the Paramount, and look forward to seeing our play each time.
Ooh, okay. On empty nesters being happier. Heck yes. Oh, I already said that one. So let's see, 360. My children are out of the house. I'm definitely happy. I see and talk to them all the time. What makes me happy is seeing them grown and having productive lives of their own.
Yeah. Nice.
Donna and Lacey says, I almost texted Spike a few years back when he commented, kids are gone. What are the wife and I to do? Really, your wife in an empty house, and you don't know what to do.
Times do you think we can? Come on, we got to have other things.
That is so funny.
Other things to do.
Funny.
Oh, Donna and Lacey, you're my spirit animal. Cody in Montesano says, my kids are 10 and 12, and I can't wait to be an empty nester.
Such a great age.
Yeah, boy.
10 and 12.
Here comes teenagerhood. You poor man.
Do we have time for money dysmorphia?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, let's see. People are a generation or two. This is Tara at Mill Creek. People are a generation or two removed from when people had families and budgeted monthly for groceries. And we're lucky to go on a family road trip vacation once per year to the Grand Canyon. We just have too much stuff and just want more and think we're entitled to it. Do you remember when going to a restaurant was a big deal?
Oh, absolutely.
Like 16th birthday, oh my God, I got to go to a restaurant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As a kid, we never got, we lived very modestly.
Carrie in Bonnie Lake says, when my kids were small and they'd ask for something outside of the budget, I'd tell them, we're using our money elsewhere, and let that be a springboard for more conversation. Now one drives a 24-year-old Prius and uses her money to fund stuff she wants more. Love it.
That's good.
And I texted Carrie back. My mom did the same thing. I would compare us to other families, and she would say we use our money on different things. And to be fair, we traveled a lot more as a family, even though I didn't have name brand clothes. It's all about what you prioritize, right?
I love that.
And real quickly on payment plans for Coachella. The payment plan for festivals has been going for a long time with other festivals. They offer payment plans as low as $10 a month, 10 plus months before the event.
All right, 253 sees let's see, payment plan for entertainment. Don't do it. put money into retirement, buckle down and save. I would recommend, but then you miss out.
Live
okay.
now. Okay. Folks, that's going to do it for us. We appreciate you giving us your time today. Angela, thank you so much.
Oh,
John
I had
Curley
so much fun.
I'm
It's
glad.
ridiculous.
Anytime, bud. Anytime.
Thank you.
John Curley's the next. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.
Hi, it's John Curley. Longevity Medical Clinic is your best plan for long-term well-being and personalized health care. Dr. Mixon, let me ask you a question. How long have some of your patients been working with you?
And we've got patients now that have been with us for over 20 years that are in their 90s who came to us in their 60s. The grandparents now in their 90s are living independently. They're not on walkers, they're not on canes, they're not headed for nursing homes.
I meet people and they ask about, wow, you're in great shape. You have 12% body fat and stuff. What's the secret? I said, it's not a secret. Longevity Medical Clinic has been there for 25 years. There is no secret to the fact that if you make those small changes, you avoid the big, bad, horrible stuff that most of us just think, well, this is what's supposed to happen to me.
And if you're heading downhill and you don't change your direction, you're going to continue going downhill. And what we do at Longevity is we redirect you and we take you back up the hill.
So get your free health analysis. Go to longevitymedicalclinic.com. That's longevitymedicalclinic.com.
There's a sink at the brink and a drain that's a pain.
Dayandnight.net.
The old throne's not too well, and ooh, does it smell?
Dayandnight.net.
Slow drains, backed up toilet, is your main drain or sewer clogged? Hi, I'm Bruce, General Manager of Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. Over the past 70 years, I think we've seen every drain clog out there. If your pipes aren't draining from